Hello, non-believers out there. This is Sunday school. I am the minister. FBP.
We come around once in a blue moon, just to show you that we love you and we'll never leave, 'cause we are anointed. We're the same way every day.
I was talking to you about the CMOS. I've heard about it, but like, what are the benefits of CMOS?
The benefits of CMOS. That's a good question. Well, that kind of ties in a little bit to what I want to talk about today too. So it's good to talk about. First off, there are two major popular CMOSs. You have the Irish moss, and then you have Chondrus crispus. So one of the things that KT and I ran into, that's my partner, we're doing the Dr. Sebi tour to keep his legacy alive. One of the major things we ran into is that people didn't know the difference between Irish moss and the sea moss that Sebi promoted, the Chondrus crispus. They're both phenomenally healthy. They're both very good for you. So I like to make sure I say that first, because then people might get weird. But Irish moss is more of something that is a killer. It's a detox, it's a cleanser. It speeds up the metabolism. It breaks things down in the body to flush out the system. Chondrus crispus, the one that Sebi promoted, it builds the body up. And it builds the body up with hydration as its center, because it can hold up to 200 times its own weight in water, which is the crucial piece to every aspect of health in our body that's overlooked. Even all of the medical books, all of the health books that they have in school, the textbooks, none of them talk about hydration. None of them emphasize the fact that nothing in your body can work dry. Nothing. There's no protein, there's no enzyme, there's no mineral, there's no superfood plant, nothing nowhere that can function dry. Everything has to be hydrated. So that's the key. Now, on a whole nother level, one of the reasons why Chondrus crispus or CMOS is, I would say, crucial to health. We got to rewrite this whole health paradigm. That should be something that people should take every day. CMOS should be a daily supplement forever, for everyone. Pregnant moms, breastfeeding moms, babies, 6 months, 1 month, 2 months, 2 days, 2 years, everybody, if you're 100, anywhere, if you're alive, you should be on that. Life on this planet evolved through CMOS. The first thing you have is a planet full of water, period. The water is absorbing the radiation from the various stars in the solar system, creating the atmosphere. Once the atmosphere is created, now you have heat being generated from the sun, because the sun is chemiluminescent. That means it doesn't produce heat. That's why it's cold in outer space. Heat from the sun doesn't get generated until the photons try to pass through the atmosphere, and that friction creates the heat we know of from the sun. But that heat wouldn't be there if it wasn't for the atmosphere creating the greenhouse effect from the sun. So as that happens, the planet, the rock, the crystal that houses the water is called ringwoodite. It's also a hydrogen base, just like the water's hydrogen base. So hydrogen is going to be key to life. That is the most crucial thing that we need to get in our bodies. And if you go through all of the health food stores, I mean, now you might find 1 or 2 things, but for the most part, you never see hydrogen anywhere. You see calcium, you see vitamin D, you see vitamin C. Vitamin C has been jammed down our nose for everything. Every 2-3 years, the sales pitch switches, but it's always vitamin C, vitamin C, vitamin C. So hydrogen is crucial. So as the planet starts to radiate outward, infrared, right? Because the planet has its own vibration, which releases electromagnetic waves. They're in the infrared band, long wave infrared band. The sun is dropping short wave infrared band. That infrared begins to structure and change the shape of water. So water has different types of water molecules. One of the lectures I did in here, we was a little different, we was in the back, highlighting Sister Mona Harrison. I don't want to mess her name up. But she's one of the elders, and she laid the framework for a lot of the water stuff that's going on nowadays. In fact, she was so serious in terms of hydrogen science. It's a lot better to say than water, because water is so general. There's so many different types of water, even so many different types of natural water, that when you say water and you talk about the importance of water, it still escapes people because they still don't know what water to buy, what water's supposed to do, what's this and what's that. So, peace to the family, bro. So that becomes a whole nother problem. But the basic structure of water, H2O, that's plain water. That's not water. That's not living water. That's not water that life can come out of. That's bulk water. That's water that you can, wash your windows, wash your body. It's not that serious. When water becomes structured, those molecules come together. See? So that's another thing that we need to deal with in terms of black folks. Water cannot hold charge. It cannot live. Nothing can come out of water until the water comes together, until the water molecules unify. So you have H2O molecules coming together forming H3O2. So they come together, form H3O2. One hydrogen is left out because the molecules, when they come together, they use that as a part of the bonding process, right? So hydrogen bonds become crucial also in terms of health. That's one of the main reasons why we have such a high water requirement every day. And we're going to talk about that hopefully, because I want to get into talking about women's health, particularly the hair and the scalp, right? That's the first stage to our hair going south. Hydrogen bonds, being dehydrated. That's the major thing that makes your hair kinky, nappy, muscular, strong, healthy, vibrant versus flank. So when you like hot press, hot curl, hot comb, that's the first thing that breaks down. That's what you break down basically to make the hair go from curly to straight. You get rid of all the hydrogen bonds. So you completely dehydrate the hair with the hot comb, and now your hair is straight. Your DNA is held together. Hydrogen bonds. Everything in the body, hydrogen bonds. So as the water on the planet started to absorb the infrared radiation from the sun and from the planet, it started to restructure itself into that H3O2, which allowed it to hold electricity, allowed it to hold a charge. So now life is starting to begin. As the water gets more thick with charge, you have a gel. The water becomes thick, like a plasmic gel. And then moss is the next step of life from that first basic water. So that's why sea moss should be in everybody's diet on a regular basis. So it's that same thick gel that holds that high level of hydrogen. And outside of that, the only thing that can hold more hydrogen than sea moss is palladium, which is a metal on the periodic table, one of the transition metals. The reason why the transition metals are called transition metals is because they all have exceptionally high abilities to hold and store hydrogen. That's what makes gold gold. That's what makes platinum platinum. That's what makes osmium osmium, rhodium, ruthenium, iridium, all of those different things. Their ability to store and hold different types of hydrogen. But palladium is the beast when it comes to them, and it can hold up to 900 times its weight in hydrogen. So that we have in the mom atomics. I don't know if I was dealing with some crazy sabotage or just holiday, whatever. But just now when we got off the bus down here, my bag with the products in it was open. Under the bus, products was everywhere, shoes was everywhere. So, you know, it looks like the labels kind of got lost in the fray for some of the bottles. But other than that, everything was pretty much intact. Looks like I might be missing a few bottles of this or that, but it's a part of the, you know, it's a part of the game. We usually deal with the sabotage. It come with the term electromagnetic greens. So hopefully I answered your question somewhere in there. Outside that, it's very nutritious. It has a bunch of minerals in there. That you're gonna hear anywhere when you ask somebody about sea moss. They're gonna tell you, oh, it's got a bunch of minerals in there. Okay, so do all other plants. Every wild plant is loaded with minerals. Almost every wild plant has almost 100 some odd minerals in there. You know, in varying degrees. So that's another thing. It's not a matter of if you're dealing with a wild plant, does it have minerals in this? How much? Because your body needs a lot of minerals to function. So, and minerals are the catalyst in your body for every action. So that's another thing. Hopefully we pass that though, you know, because that's a little basic, but a lot of people put a lot of emphasis on vitamins. Vitamins are not really that important. They're not. Minerals are much more important. If you have all of the minerals that your body needs on a daily basis, your liver, your spleen can synthesize 90–95% of all the vitamins your body needs, with the exception of maybe vitamin D, maybe B12, some of those things like that, because you need nitrogen for the B vitamins. Those are more proteins than vitamins. A lot of vitamins are proteins. People don't realize that. That's why where the name came from. Vital amino acids, right? So vitamin D, some of that stuff. Vitamin K is very important. Almost every black person in America is deficient in vitamin K. That's part of the attack on your genetics, specifically. Certain things are missing from our diet that only really cripple and weaken us. It doesn't affect everybody at the same rate. So a lot of people having seizures, right? That's the number one. Anybody dealing with seizures, they have to get that in. So a lot of people, I've been able to reduce seizures almost to nil just with vitamin K and magnesium, period. So I find that most people can't even have seizures if they have high levels of magnesium and vitamin K. Why? Because it's glutamate and a couple of other nitrogen-based molecules on the brain in the astrocytes and white area gray matter that initiates the seizure. And you only can have high levels of these molecules floating around in your blood when there's no vitamin K, because that's what vitamin K's number one job is, right? We hear vitamin K, we only hear vitamin K usually when somebody's pregnant, or we hear about it to make the blood coagulate so you can like build a scab if you know get cut or something like that. But the number one thing vitamin K does in the body is flush nitrogen and glutamate and all of those things from the blood to keep your blood highly electric. So that's how I reference vitamin K in my mind to remember. Like that's my little mnemonic device, vitamin K, right? It's that electric, that K, to keep the body at a certain vibration. Magnesium is what protects neurons, melanocytes, stem cells, etc. Magnesium is the mom of the body. So when you have the magnesium, the vitamin K, you good. Seizures is, but yeah. So you have your minerals. Your body can synthesize pretty much all the vitamins you need. That's going to be more crucial than anything else. So yeah, sea moss is definitely crucial. Very important. You should have it every day. And no, I'm not a paid spokesman for Sea Moss Gold. In fact, I have to buy me some sea moss gold when I leave here. So, but yeah, questions?
Hey, in one of your videos, I heard you saying something about you know how to for people to get melanin and keep it for like the more fair skinned people. Cause I'm half black, and you were saying something about like how to change the structure of the hair to like with a vitamin C treatment or something like that to make it kinky or something like that.
Right. Well, here's the foundation of that. The foundation of that is what a lot of people don't understand is it's just really biochemistry. It's not like for instance, me and you. I have the exact same number of melanocytes as you do. Melanocytes are the cells, people that don't know, that house melanosomes. Melanosomes are the enzymes that make melanin. So I have just as many as you do. The only difference between mine and yours is that mine's is on the grind a lot harder, and yours is a little bit on vacation. So the idea is to feed them the things that they need so that they can become more aggressive and remove a lot of the blockages. So there's a lot of different biochemistry from different ethnic groups. There are enzymes in the body that attack melanosomes, like lysosomes. So you might have a lot higher amount of lysosome activity in the body. That's based on what you eat. The more dead matter than things we put in our body, the more the white blood cell family increases. Lysozymes are from that family. So the more dead matter we put in our body, and when I say dead matter, a lot of people, and I noticed over the years, people just seem to reference meat when I say that. But dead matter includes anything that's not alive. All right? So pasta. We love pasta. Pasta's dead matter. It's nothing. Comes out of a box or a can. Nothing can be alive in a box or a can. In fact, you can just use that as a good barometer. The more box and can stuff you put, the more you're going to have white blood cell activity, white blood cell enzyme activity, etc., etc. The sugars that we put in our body. Sugar is very important to our body. Which sugars that we use? Galactose. Galactose is melanin, melanocyte friendly. Glucose is not. Glucose is not. And primarily all of the sugar that we have in our food is glucose based. So we got to get into the watermelons, the figs, you know, the brown, the blacks. Just heavily pigmented food. Keep your food pigments up.
Lactose is good, but glucose is not.
I mean, in moderation. In moderation. It's 8 essential sugars, just like it's 8 essential amino acids that we're supposed to have every day in our diet. Over time, it's gotten to the point where our diet is like 95% glucose, and then the other 7 essential sugars we barely get.
So it's about balancing it out?
It's about balancing it out. And the boxed and canned stuff is primarily glucose, because glucose can also serve as a cheap preservative for some of these things. But on the flip side, in terms of biochemistry, it feeds all of the wrong type of cells. So cancer cells, tumor cells, the cells that come together to make cysts and all kinds of other nasty little boogeymen, right, Chase? Boogeymen. They all use glucose to propel their reproduction in the body. So that's another issue, right? So anybody dealing with any of those issues want to try to eliminate glucose as much as possible, because that's what's going to help those negative cells to keep replicating. But galactose feeds galactose enzymes, which are the go-between between your skin cells and your melanocytes.
So
galactose. Also, in terms of internal chemistry in your hair, your scalp, etc., those are the guys that act along with tyrosine and tyrosinase, which are the enzymes and amino acids that help pigment the hair, the skin, etc., etc., to make the hair stronger and all of those kind of things. So it's just reinforcing that stuff. And to just make it super simple, citrus fruit.
Yeah, I see you say something about lemons.
Yeah, well, lemons is super highly electric. It's your body runs on electricity. It doesn't run on sugar. So when we read a lot of textbooks, if we're not really scientifically astute, then we'll just stop at sugar. Your body uses sugar for energy. But if we look and see in the book how the body uses sugar for energy, it takes the sugar through a process called the Krebs cycle, or the citric acid cycle. And it's converting sugar into pure citric acid so your body can use that in cellular respiration, because that's the purest form of energy. And lemons are very powerful because there's, well, nothing else in there but that pure citric acid. So it eliminates all of the energy your body would have to expend to break something else down and turn it into that. So if you eat sweet potatoes, your body's going to take that sweet potato through a long, crazy process to turn that sweet potato eventually into citric acid before it can be utilized in the body. So it gets converted, proteins turns into fats, fats into sugars, the sugars into citric acid, so that the mitochondria in the cell can then turn that into citric acid.
I think I get like the acid in our stomach is citric acid.
No, the acid in our stomach is hydrochloric acid. Totally different. But that's another reason just to keep that hydration forefront in our mind. As we become dehydrated, the stomach acid starts to become weaker and weaker and weaker, and then we have poor digestion from dehydration, because the stomach acid is made from hydrogen and chlorine, hydrochloric acid. So if we don't have chlorine in our body enough, which we do, because we only need a tiny bit, and we're getting way too much from tap water, and if we don't drink tap, we shower, so we're loaded with chlorine. But a lot of us are dehydrated. So stomach acid gets weaker, and then when we have poor digestion, we turn to John Q. European, say, hey, I'm having poor digestion. And they say, here, take this rotten milk. Take these probiotics. And then we take the probiotics, and we still have poor digestion. But it's because of the lack of hydrogen and being dehydrated. So, yeah, we just got to get it in, get the information in, but that's super easy. And then as you change the biochemistry, then you could soak the sun a lot longer without getting burned. In my house, every room, including especially the bathroom and the kitchen, UVB light bulbs. Because there's no real UVB in North America.
I'm having trouble finding
Yeah, I
it.
see you say at a certain time of the year in North America.
Just type in
I was on there. I kept finding like all this crap about
Reptiles.
machines and large machines and stuff kept coming up. Oh, you mean the regular reptile bulbs?
Well, you just want to get the strongest reptile bulbs you can.
Okay.
And then,
I did see that. I just
Yeah.
thought they were all like real small and wouldn't help.
no!
Yeah, they didn't have like very good pictures and stuff when I looked at it. It just showed you the tank and it got the bulb in there, and I'm like, well, that don't look like it's going to. So I kept moving around.
No. You got to get like the ones for like little like turtles, and because they got big turtles, and so it's a regular size light bulb. You just screw it right into your. Now they got the big ones that you have to buy a fixture for.
Right.
I got a couple of those too, but I just got regular UVB. They run about $30 a light bulb, $40 a light bulb.
Okay.
But they wind up being cheaper in the long run. So a lot of time math kills niggas.
Yeah.
It do.
Yeah.
Because we don't think that way. We used to buying light bulbs for like $2, $3. So you say, yo, get a $40 light bulb. What? But over the course of 2-3 years, I'm not changing them light bulbs.
Right.
When I move, I screw them joints out, put them in a new crib. So they last so long that you wind up saving money. They cheaper in the long term. Just like, sisters with the wigs. A lot of the wigs that we getting for $20, $30, super damaging to the scalp. Super damaging. It's the $1,500 wigs that you are allowed to regrow your natural hair because it's a completely different material. It's all lace under there. What does that mean? For people just in the vain pursuit, it being a 360-degree lace wig, means that you can part it, wear it in every single natural style because the whole thing has a scalp to it. Health-wise, your scalp is still breathing. Oxygen's still getting through there, which is one of the main key things to revitalizing the scalp. Like a lot of sisters want to go natural, but it's just that time period between starting to go back to natural and then when the hair get long enough to style and flip, bounce, color, that's the problem. So, because we still got work, job, boyfriend, girl, you know, we still got life going on. So people don't want to go through that period of having, you know, cutting down, you know, just chopping off the perm, and then they got bumps and pus going on and folliculitis and all kinds of crazy stuff up there. But those wind up again being cheaper in the long term because you might spend $1,000 on one of those wigs, but those wigs last 4 years. As opposed to you spending $20, $30, $40 2-3 times a month. You spending $1,500, $1,600 a year on wigs. And trust me, I know, I got 7 daughters, 3 children's mamas. So I know I be on they top, like, yo, stop wearing them dumbass hats. That's what I call them. Hats. Because it just covers up the scalp, just like a hat. Doesn't allow any breathing to take place, no air is getting in there. And then, you know, because we don't know the chemistry of our scalps, what it's supposed to be, what it's not supposed to be, we don't even know what the products do. You know, and then we listen to people that don't know what they're talking about either. Because they're just trying to get money. So, oh, well, you know, I'm going to just try a kitty perm, not knowing that the kitty perm is way stronger than adult perms. Because it's the first time the hair got to get broke in. So your hair is super strong. No chemicals have touched it before. Super resistant to everything. And kitty perm is there to kick that door in and break that joint. Ah! Crush the cuticles, crush the mat, the doula, the center, all that kind of stuff. So just the basic, you know, just knowing the basic stuff about that is gonna make the difference. But it's numbers. We gotta learn, you gotta get that math right.
So do oil clog up the hair from receiving oxygen?
Yes and no. That's a good question. It depends on the type of oil we use. It depends on the type of oil we use. It depends on where we live, temperature outside. So for instance, here in Philly, now it's a good time to make your shea butter blends. It's shea butter season right now. But summertime, I wouldn't suggest it. It's too thick. So summertime is more your thin blends. That's your coconut oil, you know, your extra virgin olive oil blends, like that kind of stuff.
Okay, so have you ever traveled to a place where you were able to drink the water?
They got a place like that in Pennsylvania.
Where?
Yeah.
Up by the Poconos.
They got one in King of Prussia and one in
Yeah, they got clear, fresh water.
Plymouth Meeting.
Mm-hmm. Plymouth Meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's plenty of places.
I think it's called springs.com or something like that. You can look up all the local springs. It's like $1.25 for like 6 gallons or something.
Louder.
There's some free ones too.
I was just saying, it's a website that has every state that has places that has free
What's the website?
I would just type it in Google, free website that has springs and
Fresh water.
yeah, fresh.
Yeah, that's what I would say. You could Google fresh water in different places, but there's a lot of places they got, like in Florida. Oh man, down by Coral Castle. People seen us in the video down there, like in Coral Castle, but right around the corner. Coral Castle is there because the guy that built Coral Castle understood ley lines and how the magnetic grid of the earth works and all that kind of stuff. So that whole area is loaded with calcium deposits, and calcium is the main thing that your body needs to keep it naturally strong and alkaline, right? So it's some springs down there that we used to sneak into, right? They're not even open for the public. They doing construction and some other stuff down there. We used to just wait till they leave and just go ahead and help ourselves and swim and drink and everything. And then you'd be up all night because you'd be jacked, like as if you had some NO2 supplements or creatine or something, but it's just water. It's just so charged that, you know.
What is creatine?
Creatine is something that is naturally produced in the body by all of your muscle cells. They sell a lot of supplements that are creatine based. So a lot of people don't know that creatine is natural to your body. And a lot of people switching from meat-eating lifestyles to vegetarian lifestyles or vegan lifestyles, that's usually the main thing that people miss, and they don't know that in terms of their biochemistry, in terms of getting the same energy output. So you got a lot of people that are bodybuilders, and they switch. They're like, Minister, I'm following you right up until the point where I try to hit the same workout level in the gym without the meat, and it's not working. And so they go to people that don't really know the biochemistry, they talk to them and they'll tell them to take this or take that or this. It's the creatine. And the only way you can naturally get that creatine level up is calisthenics. See, the major difference between weights and calisthenics is that calisthenics increases mitochondrial genesis. It makes more mitochondria throughout the tissues and the cells. The more mitochondria you have, the more creatine output you get naturally from the muscles and cells, which is why the muscle structure seems to last a lot longer when you do the calisthenics versus the weights. It's because you have a lot more mitochondria producing a lot more electricity, so the muscles are a lot more electric. But that's just because of the way that your body works against gravity. Calisthenics is electromagnetic exercise. People don't phrase it that way because they don't really know. We just know that the old heads that we looked up to showed us to do it, so we do it. And we don't need anything to do it, so we're confined in a place where we don't have access to things. We can get busy. You can start squatting and, you know, you can just do. But what you're exercising against is all the natural forces, including your body weight. So it's not just your body weight. You're going against gravity. You're going against the pull of, you know, it's a lot of things going on. So that's what increases the mitochondria output, increases creatine naturally. It's creatine that gives you the energy when you're working out. So that's a big part of muscle fatigue. Once you get the lactic acid buildup and you don't have enough creatine, you're going to go to failure. That's the one you stop on right there. And those are your key elements in strength: creatine, ATP, and magnesium. Those three things right there. And to take that from a strictly bodybuilding perspective and just make it real for everybody, all of your organs are muscles. So to keep the heart strong, which is the most important muscle, to keep the brain strong, to keep the liver strong, right? A lot of us have liver issues, you know, because we drink. Little Ciroc, little Hennessy, little, you know. I even got the Brother Joe, we got the vegan wine, you know, like we gonna find a way to get a little alcohol in. But the alcohol is gonna attack the liver, which is the laboratory where all the other chemicals in the body are synthesized. So you just gotta make sure that if we're doing those things, because I don't teach for people to avoid life. We only have one. So if you want to sip a little something, up a little something, hey, make it happen. Just make sure on the flip side, you're doing all the things that you need to do so that the things that we enjoy don't take years off your life. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times we struggling to make something happen, then as soon as we get to a level where we can kind of take our foot off the gas, health take us, and then the whole struggle, everything we went through, basically is for nothing, because the next generation's coming behind you. They don't know what you went through to build whatever it is you're trying to build, so they don't know how to maintain it. So even if you give it to your babies, they just going to run it through it, and then second generation is back to the block.
Okay, I have a lot of questions, but this is my last one, I swear. So, yoga versus calisthenics.
Come on, buddy. Come on. Come on. Woo! You got to sneak in. Yoga versus what?
Calisthenics. Your opinion.
It's not a versus. It's good it's a different type of thing. So yoga is more nerves, joints. Yoga's actually more of a martial art than anything else. So it applies to the fascia, which is the more overlooked muscles that we don't really get to exercise and stuff like that. So you need that.
Stretching, like the importance of stretching, and then how do you proportion it?
Come on, you're right on time. You're right on time. The importance of stretching, Prince can, yeah.
Cool.
And how do you proportion it to your workouts?
Well, I stretch before my workout. Yeah, I like to stretch before, then I do my workout. Then sometimes, you know, you don't have to stretch the same time as your workout. You can just stretch on a separate day. You know what I'm saying? Take that time to just stretch, soak, relax the body.
Yeah, it's important. If you don't stretch, you're not gonna have full range of motion with your muscles. And if you don't have full range of motion, it's the motion that allows nutrients, hydrogen, oxygen, all that stuff to be used in the muscle cell. It opens up the muscle cells. Your muscle cells are different than other cells because they have multiple nucleuses, a lot more mitochondria we talked about, a lot more higher electrical output. That's why muscle cells don't get cancer. Muscle cells don't get cancer. Every other place in the body you're gonna have, but when I say muscle cells, I mean the muscles that we see when we work out in the gym. These cells don't become cancerous. It's the layers of the skin, it's some of the other things that are sedentary in the body that we are not paying attention to, which is why yoga, internal breathing, and those things helps people become healthy, because once those internal muscles become highly electrified, they'll be insulated from a lot of those illnesses as well. But that's clinically proven that highly electric muscle cells, they don't become cancerous.
What do you do for like a person who has like fibromyalgia?
Fibromyalgia, to me, is just a very, very fancy word for magnesium deficiency. So when you don't have magnesium in the body, then you have a situation where you have a lot of fleeting pains and things like that in the body, because magnesium's job is to clean, detox, and keep all the cells healthy. So you have pain popping up in various places because those cells are trying to send signals to your brain and say, hey, we need help. And usually for people, it happens in the same areas because we have the same type of daily lifestyle. So it's the same cells that are being ignored, nutrition-wise, because all of our cells have a different requirement for what they need for their specific jobs. And then the same ones being taxed because we probably go to work, sit down the same way, type the same way, or whatever it is we do is repetitive. So, and because the things are so subtle, that's why they haven't been able to put their pulse on what it is. But bioavailable magnesium, and anytime you hear magnesium, let me say this a different way, because I'm saying magnesium deficiency over and over today, so I want to rephrase it. Plant-based food deficiency. Because every plant cell is magnesium. That's why it's green. Every plant cell is magnesium. So there's no plant that doesn't have magnesium. And that's the most bioavailable form of magnesium, plants. So the greener the plant, the more magnesium in it. Question.
What if for your body to like get the full absorption of the plant, what if your body's not absorbing the magnesium?
That's pretty difficult. Your body, our bodies grew out of, that's like a, it's levels to this thing. Like we grew out of plants. As cells came together, plants were the first stage in the development of cells becoming more complex. Our internal structure is plant-based. That's why when you see the picture of a saw, Osiris, Wusia, the perfect black, he's always green. The perfect black is always green. So that was the ancestors telling us back then. The perfect black is green. Swaj, the Kemetic word for greening, because one of the things about the metal nature that people let escape them is that they didn't believe in dead anything. Everything in life is a process. Everything is moving, changing. So the words reflected that. So you didn't have a word for green. You had a word swaj for the process of greening. So it not only meant greening, it meant to become healthier, it meant to become successful, it meant to flourish, all of those things. And in your biochemistry, how you doing, sis? In your biochemistry, when we talk about melanin, every melanosome is connected breast to mouth, like to mitochondria. And the mitochondria breastfeed ATP, magnesium, ATP and magnesium into melanosomes for melanosomes to even be able to produce melanin. So without that greening process, we don't get high levels of photoreception. So you got to have that. Go ahead.
Benefits of black seed?
Benefits of black seed. It's gonna make me sell every product in Black and Nobel. But no, really, that's a good question though, because people don't really know the nature of what a seed is. So that we could segue into a little bit more well-rounded view of what a seed is. So when you look at a seed is anything that can create, germinate, and duplicate itself, that can make more. Anything. And I really had to get my opinion and my understanding of seeds changed as I started growing a lot of stuff. Because when you look at the seeds, you notice that these are not what you think of as seeds. When you look at seeds, you're thinking of like what we know of as like a watermelon seed or a sunflower seed. Those are the most popular seeds that we see. But when you start planting a lot of different types of plants, you're going to see that some of these seeds are not even oval shaped. Some of them are just pieces of the plant.
Right.
They look like little twigs. Some of them you can barely even see. They look like little dots. So when you get to, what is it, Nigella sativa, what that is a electromagnetic spectrum seed that allows the body or anything that consumes it to become a lot more photoreceptive to the parts of the spectrum that we can't see. And those are the parts of the spectrum that is mostly required for health. Like we can't see UVB. We can't see the infrared, but it's the infrared that starts life. Infrared begins life. That's the, you know, the chicken on the egg, the signal that makes a mom's breast start to milk when the baby gets hungry. That's all infrared. But the blue band, anybody that's growing plants like that, they're familiar with the lighting system. So a lot more people that are starting to grow plants are getting a deeper understanding of how light actually creates vitamins and nutrition, because you can supplement light for vitamins and things that's missing in the plants. So the plant becomes yellow, you know, it's missing maybe it's not having enough nitrogen, etc., etc., and you can turn down this part of the light and increase the blue. Or if you want to have more boys, you can, you know, turn up. So it gets a little crazy, but that's what the Nigella sativa does. It makes the body a lot more photoreceptive to the parts of the spectrum that we can't see. That's where all nutrition comes from, light. That's everything is based on water absorption of light. Period. your cells is nothing but a piece of fat holding in water. That's it. And that water has to absorb various types of light, turn it into physical things so that it can do a lot of different jobs, whatever the enzyme makeup is of the cell. But we kind of got away from that, and we start eating physical stuff that we thought we could just take a shortcut. And that's why fasting is so important. When we fast, it allows the body to go back to the original form of nutrition. Because when we know this planet started off as a planet full of cells, we know our body started off as a group of cells, right? You got to ask yourself, did those original cells eat macaroni and cheese? Did those original cells that populated this planet start with fried chicken? What did they eat? Right? Did they even eat kale and watermelon? No. There was no kale and watermelons yet. It was just light and water. And that's one of the more special things encoded in that one glyph of the perfect black being green. Because what we don't know is that Ray, which is always, well, not always, but sometimes interchangeable with Osiris or Usia, is the original symbol for hydrogen. So when we talk about that, we got to understand that the perfect black has a specific relationship with hydrogen. So that's one of the things that melanin does in terms of splitting water molecules and rearranging them. And every time it does that, the energy that escapes, our body uses for energy, which is why a lot of our ancient scriptures talk about fasting being the catalyst for amazing feats. Me, I use fasting to stay up for days. That's how sometimes I gotta get through study, I gotta get through research, whatever the case may be, or writing. I fast. Because another side to it is your body uses 80% of its energy in breaking down food. So once you stop the food consumption, your body has a lot more energy. And then once the food clears the system, your body will start going back to those older systems, especially if you have light to catalyze. I got UVB all in the house. So, but then your body can use that light to break that stuff down and generate its own energy. And that helps to clean the system, restructure the water. Anytime you restructure water, it's going to push out anything that is not itself. So that goes back to the black community again when we're dealing with water. Right? We don't have to worry about external forces. We restructure the community and everything else will be pushed out by our own activity. We ain't even got to worry about who's who. Because once we start doing what we're supposed to do, it ain't going to be no room for them. We just going to be like, they're going to be trying to look over shoulders. You're just going to disappear. So as the water molecules structure, they unify, they come together. As they unify and come together, the electrical activity pushes everything that's not them out and away from the body. Health comes in. Photon electron exchange goes up. Body's energy goes up, which is another aspect of fibromyalgia. The body not being able to tap into that original energy production. And, you know, health resumes.
Okay. Can you talk about your process of cleansing your organs? What did you use? How did it feel? How long did it last?
Well, it's not a matter of, like, 'cause my organs is, I got some ratchet organs. I mean, you just can't, like for instance, you live here in Philly. Right now I live in Detroit. Right? You can't, like, your organs are never gonna be, like, clean. It doesn't go like that.
But have you ever cleansed, like...
No, I got you.
Yeah.
The cleansing process. The process. What I like to do for me is, every couple of months, I just change my focus. So I work on the lung. Unless something happens where I feel like I have to do this, or I have to do that. Or if I feel like my liver I have to work on the liver, then whatever the case may be. But every so many months, I just change my focus. So I might focus on the lungs. And Pink Lips is a newer version to an older compound I used to have called Charge. And Charge was like really strong, astringent approach to cleaning the lungs. That's a lot different. What Charge did is it forced the lungs to expel a lot of mucus, which really worked. But long term, it didn't have the hydrating effect that I wanted it to have. So I just tweaked it a little bit. With this, I got the quartz or the silica, the original crystal. I got the Chondrus crispus is in there, and then I have a plant in there called hydrangea. Hydrangea is one of them. In the herbalist community, people keep secrets. A lot of plants they keep secret. So you can learn herbs all you want, $9.99 book, Barnes and Nobles, whatever. But the compounds are not going to be as effective because one or two, and even when people make compounds, they won't list everything. They'll just list enough so that you're satisfied when you read it. You know, if somebody read it, try to jam you up, you know, and got the little FDA hasn't approved, whatever, like it just put what they need to put on there to get by, but still maintain the integrity of their business because they don't want people to be able to read the thing and then duplicate it. Then their product is kind of, you know, you got competition being created off your thing. But I don't mind because I know people are lazy. So even if I made a video and let people watch me make it, out of 1,000 people, only 2 people are going to do it. Everybody else going to say, man, that was crazy. Give me one of those. So, but hydrangea is one of those plants. It's super electromagnetic. It doesn't even have a basic color pattern. That's how electromagnetically sensitive it is. Anywhere you see one of those plants, it's going to be a different color, the flower petals, because it reflects the electromagnetic activity of the soil and the UV radiation from wherever it is. And that's very crucial to people even understanding medicinal aspects of plants, because plants are just vessels. That's all a plant is a vessel. So the European mind state kind of misses that. And what I mean is, because now we kind of adopted that. So a plant will grow in North Africa. And it's amazing for help. People using it to deal with all kinds of issues, and it's amazing. So people are like, hey, we want that plant. So now they get seeds, and then they try to grow that plant somewhere else. And they grow that plant somewhere else successfully because the plant can adapt. When that plant grows, it's not going to have the same medicinal value because it's a vessel. And now the contents of the plant are completely different. But it won't be reflected in the look of the plant like it will in hydrangea. Most plants are just going to still look the same. So dandelion that grows in New York is not the same as dandelion that grows in, say, maybe Florida wild, because it's completely different elements being consumed from the soil and from the sky by the plant. So that's more important to the medicinal qualities of the plant than actually per se the plant. But you can use the names of plants, like that's when you get past plants, you know what I'm saying? So I might just be going a little too far, but because it's another level to even herbs. So people get lost in the plants, like, yeah, I got this and this and this in there. Okay, well, where'd that come from? Because people was going crazy with moringa. I learned this the hard way with moringa. I had a brother when I first started selling moringa that was selling me the moringa straight from his farms, from his daddy's farms in North Africa. And people was loving it. It was amazing. Then the Connect shut down for me, and I had to get moringa from somewhere else. So I just started ordering me pounds online. And people was like, hey, what's up with the moringa? I'm like, nothing. You didn't get your order? You're like, no, I got it. It's just, you know, I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I'm bugging. I'm like, yeah, it is you. You bugging. But upon research, I found out that that was North American moringa I was selling. And then I stopped. I had to shut the moringa down for a while so I could get deeper into my research bag and figure out, oh, okay. So every plant, you know, because from the hood, we kind of know Reggie versus exotic. You know, we know the good from the bad. I didn't know that that was all the way around with plants. So depends on where that plant comes from, its native habitat is crucial. So just like our health, we need to consume the things from our native habitat, which is the equator. And when we leave, we need those things. We don't have them, we go down. Plants the same way. So the hydrangea in there is really good. Super electromagnetic plant. And that's good for your lungs. And it provides the hydrogen that your lungs need, because your lungs sit in a bag of fluid, a bag of plasma, and that is what allows the extraction of all the electricity, et cetera, combined with the iron from the blood. So when you don't have that, lungs not gonna function properly. So, and then throughout the rest of the body, I think what's important to know is the detox process is the voluntary illness. Detox is volunteering to be sick, right? So that's the biggest thing that I notice people don't understand. They initiate a detox because they heard somebody say they need to detox. The moment that detox kicks in, they want to stop the detox because they think something's wrong. Minister, I can't stop sweating all night. What's going on with me? You're detoxing. I know, but I'm sweating all night. No. The sweating all night is how your body's pushing out the shit that's in there. Because you can't really pick and choose how your body's going to expel. It could be sweat. Like you could be in the bathroom like every 2 minutes, urinating. Or you could feel like you got drunk and it wants to come out. Because you know, you get, for those who have been drunk before, right? You wake up, you had that praying to the porcelain god moment where it seems like you got to urinate, defecate, vomit, all at the same time. Because your body's trying to push the poison out however it can. So you might develop mucus, all that kind of stuff. And that's the only thing you really need to keep in mind with detox. Detox is a voluntary sickness. When you get sick, that's your body saying we've reached our limit of tolerating, and now it's time to get this out of here. So when you detox, you're circumventing that process and saying, let me just voluntarily go ahead and start the cleansing process on this, or let me start the cleansing process on that. But detox is uncomfortable. If you're taking some type of detox products or detox plan and it's not uncomfortable, switch the products. Because it's not detoxing. It's just giving you like a placebo effect, but you're not cleansing the body. So you have to, you should be noticing a much higher rate of things being expelled from the body one way or another with detox.
Why is it that I know a lot of women that have issues with endometriosis, fibroids, and like extremely heavy bleeding to where as though, you know, my one friend can't even leave the house, so we're getting like hysterectomies, things of that nature.
I'm sorry, I just got to get it. I got to get hydrated. All right, so fibroids, endometriosis,
It
cysts.
seems like a lot of women have these issues, like, and why is it? And what can be done other than having a hysterectomy, surgery, and things of that nature?
I'm glad you opened the
I
door.
hear more or less for, and I don't know, but it seems like more black women have it than white women.
I have a question crossing that too. If you get into iron, I just wanted to know what type.
Iron phosphate.
Okay.
Iron phosphate. Dr. Sabi. But the reason is the black family structure is under attack. The black family structure is under attack, and we got to be real slick and savvy in understanding that. And then we have to, there's a lot of things that we got to keep in mind. So keep your question in mind, because I'm getting ready to go all over the place, and you're going to have to remind me of your question so I can target it. But I want to hit the surrounding issues to that. Just yesterday, I spent all yesterday in family court with my wife that I'm legally married to, having a custody battle for the children. Then after I beat her up in there, bang, 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 because she thought I was going to come in there on my Morris. She thought I was going to come in there on my Morris shit. I had to fool her ass. Whoop. We sitting in the joint. The Jewish white boy comes in. Excuse me, Mr. Real, are you ready? I just gave her a quick look, like, I'm coming in here with white folks. So we went in there, and then, you know, I kind of got the victory to a stalemate, and then after that we were able to go home and do what we were supposed to do in the first place, which was talk and negotiate, say, okay, baby, this is what you need. I'm sorry I didn't listen to you. Okay, this is what you need. Oh, I'm sorry I didn't listen to you. Bop, 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 and hash it out that way and do it the right way. But what I'm saying is one of the issues is that black women have been targeted to become a little bit more masculine than they're supposed to be naturally. And that's biochemically. So a lot of the aggressiveness that black women exude in the relationships, which has the weaker beta males, they run from black women. They want to get a different type of woman because they're not strong enough to handle black women that's challenging every move they're making. So the black family being under attack biochemically through the woman's womb, making her hormones out of balance, is how we then come into the fibroids, the cysts, etc., etc. It's a very thin balance between testosterone and estrogen that happens in the womb that's supposed to keep that a healthy environment. A lot of women don't know. Testosterone production in your womb, in your uterus, is what keeps that womb healthy. The moment the estrogen level goes through the roof, behavior patterns are going to become erratic. Relationships are going to become erratic, and this is just not man-woman. This is just how, period, people become. So now in our society, what do you have? The men becoming girly, the women becoming tough. How does that work? It can't, which is the point. So when we see, like, in politics, a lot of people was confused. I was supporting this guy that got elected. What's his name?
Trump.
Trump. Boom. I don't remember his name. Trump. I was supporting Trump the whole time. Once the Jewish guy got kicked out, and they was like, EnQi, are you crazy? Trump's a racist. Trump is this. Trump is that. I was like, man, we've been here so long. Y'all don't get this thing. You don't get the ideal choice. You get to pick one of those people. That's it. And Hillary has been on record saying that she wants to exterminate everyone. That's not white. So I'm like, being broke? Yeah, that's what Trump wants to do. Trump just wants to move the money because a lot of other people are getting rich back to white folks. I'm like, we kind of know how to struggle a little. We mastered that, so that's all Trump talking about? Okay, I'll roll with Trump. But women, who is the main target of Hillary's attack, because we don't read anymore, we missed it. She's been everywhere saying she wants to be the next Margaret Sanger. Margaret Sanger is the leader and founder of Planned Parenthood. The leader, the head of ending black reproduction. It was her book that she wrote that Hitler used to then write his book and create his plan for the Holocaust and all that. She laid the blueprint. And Hillary's on NBC like, I want to be the next Margaret Sanger. And black women's stupid asses was like, you tell them, sister, you got it, baby. We about to get in the office. I'm like, we? We? What we? That's why I put the thing on my Instagram. My daughter found it. It went super viral. Messed my life up. Bronner, Dr. Bronner soap. That's my favorite soap. She said, Daddy, do you know what this says right here? I was like, yeah, you know, it's the citrus with the peppermint, you know. It's the Bronner soap. She said, no, it says that they support Margaret Sanger, Albert Pike, blah, blah. I said, let me see that. Damn, body, no more Bronner soap. I threw that online. It went viral like this. Everybody started copying, then other people's pages got more hits off than my page. because nobody read, took a second to read and see, and then that goes into a bigger dynamic back to the water again. When we come together and focus, other people will block out, but because we're not, we have no idea what we're doing. So a brother asked me on Blog Talk Radio, he said, EnQi, what do you think about black business right now? I said, well, we're too focused on, we're coming from the poverty mentality too much. So we want to do the black business. We only want to do business with other blacks. Nobody else doing that. There's no successful businesses where they're saying, hey, we're not accepting 9/10 of everyone else's money. We're going to start blocking money. Only black folks thinking we should start blocking money. Who the hell blocks money? No. Where the money comes from is not even that important. It's what you do with the money once you get it. So when you see the Browners, who washes their ass and washes their body with Browners? Everyone. White, black, yellow, brown, etc., etc., etc. But when you see who they supporting, you know what they doing with their money. What programs they investing that money into. Eliminating black folks. Eliminate, global population control. See, we got to understand what we doing. This right here is the opposite of that. That's what holistic health means. So as you got Bill Gates and these folks investing money into getting rid of people, the holistic health movement is into repopulating people. So they're trying to cut numbers down. We're trying to keep numbers up. We're trying to keep the people alive longer and get reproduction even healthier. And we're the only ones on the planet that's good at that, naturally. I always refer back to the crackheads and dope fiends in my neighborhood because it's amazing. With 10, 20, 30 years of crack heroin use, she can get pregnant right now. And a lot of times they got 10 babies looking crazy right behind them, but they can't stop having them. White folks jogging in the snow, they eating all this shit. They eat. Only. They still at a 0% mortality rate. It's very difficult for them to reproduce. So this is why they got to try to put them initiatives in place to slow everybody else down, because just unchecked alone, like structured water, as we do our thing, other folks just going to disappear. Where you at? In the process it takes us to make 100 new people, they're going to make 1. But in that same time period, 10 of them are going to die. Okay, yeah. See, math's killing us. Because we trying to do aggressive things and we don't got to do aggressive things. We got to be focused more on securing the bag. That's the main goal. Get to the bread. Get to the bread. Nothing that we need to do happens without the bread. Secure the bag alert. We have to keep that shit going. Alert, 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 alert. That's all we need to do. And then we got to see through some of the, a lot of people see me online going in on J. Cole. People was mad at me. EnQi, how dare you? J. Cole he's one of us. He's conscious. I said, where? Where's he conscious? On video. On video he's conscious. Otherwise, math is killing niggas again. Because we just watched him go platinum 3 times in a row. 3 albums, or 2 albums, the new one is out, it'll be platinum soon. And he wrote, performed, and produced the whole joint with no features. So what does that mean? That means he secured a tremendous bag. So if he's conscious, like he says, where are the clinics and the schools and the bookstores? Where are the after-school programs in the community centers? They don't exist, because it's fake. Just like the houseboy that ever even had a fist fight that's rapping about bricks and kilos and shit, it's the opposite. He's the guy that might have had a little nickel bag, running around with his mans trying to get on. Boom, he got signed to the record label. The record label said, this is the slots we have open. Because when you get signed to a record label, you're a product and they have to market you to a target demographic. So, here's the target demographics we have right now. This is what's popping. We got Kendrick over here. Kendrick's making a lot of noise. We gotta fill this slot. So you're that guy. But to me, it's insulting the way they deal with you because they think the only way to identify with us is through poverty. So, oh, J. Cole's riding the bus. He keeping it real. Where the fuck's that keeping it real at? Nobody on the bus wants to be on the bus. It's cold as shit outside. People got babies and all that on the bus, newborns. Where's that cool at? I'm like, yo, this nigga's nuts. People are nuts for going along with this shit. Yo, my man's in the grocery store. Yo, he keeping it real. He in the bodega. I got people that's doing life, 15 years, niggas that died. My best friend, his brother got killed in front of the store. Those are the memories I got from the grocery store. How you get to play with that for a music video, to sell records, and then you, what? No, where's your work at? Then we know you're conscious. When we see the developments, the buildings. Other than that, you can't play. Because we saying, look, we got all these ideas. All we need is a few hours to put stuff in play. We got a little something we trying to build in Detroit. Me and my man Mark, the school, that's out of pocket. The clinic, out of pocket. And we ain't got no multi-platinum record that we wrote, produced with no features. We don't have that kind of bread. And we still got babies to feed. So how can we manage to put together a little something, little 15 kids up, you know, we got a little 15 children. How do we put together something and you can't? Mr. Riding on the bus. So we got to start challenging these folks. You want to wear consciousness like an outfit? Okay, well, that's going to come with challenge. Just like we went through the 90s with the rap music. All the fake niggas, oh, you want to be a gangster rapper? Okay. You're going to meet some gangsters. We're going to check you out and see what you... We got to do that with the consciousness. You want to be conscious? Okay. We're going to see. When we check you out, we're going to... How conscious are you? Because it's dues that we pay to be conscious. I done been pulled over 4 o'clock in the morning and have to sit there for 3-4 hours in the woods in the middle of nowhere while dogs go through all my bags. Then they want to take out each product for the mobile laboratory to come. The mobile laboratory is in checking each product. Well, yeah, you look like you're selling methamphetamine. Methamphetamine? Like, nigga, I'm on YouTube. Look, what? Harassment. Bank accounts get closed. They get frozen. Your money gets, like, all kind of stuff we deal with. So you don't get to put this outfit on and play with it. You know, we got to charge. You got to keep this, you know, all the way real, all the way around. You know, so that's you know. Question. Let me get back to the health, because I'll keep going in on them folks. Bathroom break. Somebody need to go to the bathroom. Bathroom break. All right, so let's go back to your question. Just.
Oh, it's the fibroid. No, it was the
fibroid cyst, right?
Oh yeah.
So break, yeah.
Like why is it like what's causing it? And with like the fibroids and then, you know, like I'm saying, the endometriosis. I mean, I suffer from that. And
it's chronic inflammation. So there's a lot of different levels to it. But anytime you hear inflammation, you know it's white blood cell activity. White blood cell activity, you got dead matter going on. You have an open system where there's no protection in there for the womb. Kind of like the way a broken family is with no man around. No protection for the family. The woman has to go out and scrap for dollars. The babies is left unchecked, so now anybody can teach them babies and turn them into whatever they want to turn into, and then we living like how we living now, right? So when you have the testosterone balance between the natural estrogen, which is key to stop using all these fake products, because most of these fake products fall under a category called xenoestrogens, which are chemicals that behave like estrogens and drive the body haywire on the inside. So when you have the high levels of inflammation, your cells begin to lose the unity. Think about the community. When you have high levels of inflammation, come on now. It's all right, there's other babies in there. But you have the high levels of inflammation, the cells start to get this survival of the fit kind of thing going on. That's what happens at the cellular level. Each cell begins to scrap for nutrition. And they stop breaking apart from one another and forming little cliques to eat together. Just like in the community. And that cyst, they bubble up together, they bubble together. That becomes a cyst. If that continues to grow, tumor. If that continues to grow, fibroid. But it starts from the internal inflammation. So this is why you got to get rid of the chemicals, the stuff we rub on our skin. This is going to be the biggest focus of 2017 for me. Is going to be women's health. And we're starting it off with the 40-day fast, this time in honor of Dr. Sebi and the attention on the mucous membrane. What he did that was so genius was he was able to condense a lot of complicated science and make it simple, because he know our folks ain't really into the books. You know, but people didn't really understand Sebi, and that's one of the things that KT and I wanted to really establish, is that understanding for the bridge so his legacy could live on. Because we got into like the, one of the things I say is the worst thing that could happen to the conscious community is when YouTube views got monetized. Once the YouTube got monetized, then it began to be a race for views. Before that, when views didn't pay, it was a race for content. So when you look at some of the things that people didn't understand with Sebi, because we have that climate of challenge and Roman entertainment, anything that people didn't understand, they attacked. So when Sebi said, you don't need the books to be healthy, people went to attack that instead of saying, all you got to do is return back to nature. A book is not required for that. It's not that he didn't use books, because he was an engineer. So even I had to do some stepping back in my own self to understand some of the stuff. I'm like, oh, okay, I get it. Because I'm dealing with those issues. We putting out science texts. And people is going through there, they saying the words and just putting them back to sleep. Like, the stem cell keratinocyte differentiates into, Minister, is this, you got herbs for this? Like, you got an herb for this? So it puts people back to sleep because we're just not used to that level of study. So he condensed it all down to the mucous membrane. The mucous membrane is where everything comes from. We've been taught the opposite all the way through school, because that's what separates us and makes us special from everybody else. We have the only fully functional mucous membranes on Earth. The only fully functional mucous membranes on Earth. That's why the hair comes out nappy. That's a sign. See, the mucous membrane is the adult version of the 3 layers of skin that makes everything from a baby. And it forms cognitive dissonance in the brain when you go through these texts and they tell you on the one hand, skin's not that important, it just covers the body. On the other hand, you see a fetus, a fertilized egg, develop into 3 layers of skin. And then everything comes from those 3 layers of skin. Everything. Amen. Your bones, your heart, your brain, your liver, all of these things come from those skin. Hey, boss. Sister Zakia.
You go to EnQi.
The teacher of Ari Slatham. Right? I always got to put on Front Street for that. Man, Ari Latham is all over TV and all that. I'll never hear no shout out to Sister Zakia for giving them the blueprint.
Wow. You can set up right here. There's no room.
My man was on Regis and Kelly and all that. Like, what happened to your teacher? Right? Sister Zakia. That was one of her ex-boo-boos and everything. Ex-boo-boo and everything.
Putting all the information out on her.
Hey, somebody got to do it. She running around humble. You know, she ain't going to do it. Yeah. So, you know, Minister, throw you on blast for Front Street a minute. You see Prince came in. Where you going? Right there. Questions. Go, get him.
By the
Prince be
way,
doing shit on Instagram that I don't think I'll ever be able to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we getting demonstrations today or something? I see you got the vegan fit. This Prince, vegan fit fam. He's been able to take his family,
man,
and basically do some amazing things. Not just eat healthy, but they.
Right, we can't even put him in the words. You just got to see the pictures.
Yes.
He might be on his wife, and then the children might be on top of him, like gravity don't exist.
And doing push-ups.
Right, like gravity don't exist.
And Sister Zakia is here with the electric foods, all raw foods. That's why he was bigging her up.
Yes.
She
goes in
all the seaweed salads and
everything.
Nut meat. Meat made out of nuts and things like that. She'll be having that. But excuse me.
No. Yeah, we gotta go in. Yeah, because that's important too. I think that's something that's missing from the conscious community. That is heavily taught in martial arts, lineage. Where you came from. What's your school of thought? Who taught you? We gotta get back to that system, making sure that we give reverence to the people that came before us. You know what I'm saying? So
chronology.
Yeah, chronology. You got a super quadruple quintuple OG. She just come on in.
And keep it moving.
Nobody even know. She got, she got skills. So, but anyway, so that's gonna be crucial in maintaining that health, the understanding of the mucous membrane, and the way Sabi was genius to condense that down is to say, listen, you don't have to worry about learning melanocytes. You don't have to learn stem cells, basal cells. You don't have to learn hormones and this, that, and the other, because all of those things come from your mucous membrane. So if your mucous membrane is healthy and functioning, you good. So you don't have to study, you don't have to do anything. Let's regenerate the mucous membrane. Everything else will follow suit. So that starts with hydrogen and hydrating the body, and that's another key to the internal inflammation. The easiest way to get rid of inflammation is to flush the system. But our lymphatic systems are yellowish, brown, like it just looks crazy. The nutrients, the molecules that's supposed to be there, are not there. There are certain things that's unnatural to our bodies that shouldn't be there, that's there in high levels, like sulfur thiols, which is a sulfur-based alcohol, which hinders the replication process of melanocytes and stem cells. You got an abnormally high amount of ammonia in our community, killing us. So a lot of people, when they go do sweats, if you haven't done a sweat, you need to get involved with a sweat. All right? And a sweat is just being somewhere hot. A sauna, a steam room. They got the tents, right, where you can go do that. They got spas. Spas got heated rooms one way or another. LA Fitness. Or, depending on where you live at, you got the old school system in your crib. You could go in the bathroom and just let that hot water run, stuff some towels up under the door. Your joint will be hot in a few, You got the old school hot water, it gets to 100 and something degrees. It's scalding coming out the tub. So you can do that for free in your crib and just get the sweat going, or do some calisthenics real quick and then go in there, let the hot water run, just sit on the toilet. You know what I'm saying? That'll start the process. You'll see. If you're a smoker and you do that for the first time, you're gonna notice just being in that hot steam is gonna start mucus flowing out of your body like crazy. You're gonna, and it's a good process for you. Don't stay in there too long, you might pass out, but stay in there long enough to get some stimulation going in the body. You'll notice the pores in the skin open up, follicles will clean out. Super important. Every one of your follicles in your body houses and protects stem cells and melanocytes. All of the steroids on Earth, all of the synthetic steroids on Earth were synthesized out of black people's skin follicles. Steroids are the things that make your body regenerate faster. 2 + 2 is 4 every single day. All of your stem cells, melanocytes, etc., that are housed in the follicles are very special. Thus, The scientists realized that, and that's why the first leg of the Holocaust that's not discussed, that happened in North Africa. And the reason why they're not linked is because the process was different. The quote-unquote Holocaust was just about putting folks in ovens. The first leg of the Holocaust was about bioengineering and genetic experimentation. So they went into North Africa and they wanted to know what made us different than everybody else. What made us special? They isolated the chemicals from your hair follicles and start to synthesize steroids, synthetic blackness, which is why Germany led the way in all the Olympics. They was killing them, washing them. Every Olympics, they had the majority of the gold medals. Until when? Until black folks start getting in there, and then now it's synthetic melanin versus real shit. Synthetic shit wasn't holding up. Then the game got too crazy and they had to put the brakes on that shit with Ben Johnson. Because Ben Johnson said, whoa, what's that stuff they're using? Wait a minute, let me see if I try some of that shit, what'll happen. Boop. So now you had synthetic melanin versus synthetic melanin and real melanin. Ben Johnson's making that shit look super easy. And what happened? Who put the brakes on it? White folks?
Yes, sir.
No.
No?
We did. Hating ass niggas. Right? Carl Lewis came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I think he took something. True. I think he.
True.
So we don't even celebrate Carl Lewis in my house. Carl Lewis is a snitch.
Not at all, yeah.
My children even know. I raised them a certain type of way. Whoever tells they getting in trouble along with the person who did whatever they telling on. Both you niggas getting in trouble. The actor and the snitch. Both y'all going down. Practice for real society. This is how it works.
That's how it works.
So you got to get that. Carl Lewis ruined the game. But, so what did they do? They relegated, well, they synthesized some more high-priced stuff, but they relegated to the medical community. So now all the hospitals still use steroids. So that should tell you right there about steroids. When the baby come out early, what they do to the baby? Steroids. Why? What that make the baby do? Regenerate and fully grow the organs. So that lets you know right there. How dangerous is a steroid if you're giving it to newborns? Soon as they run into something they can't deal with in the hospital, whoop, here, take these steroids. And your body will kick in. Oh yeah? Where do they come from? Black folks' follicles, AKA mucous membrane. You see? So that's the whole thing about understanding the legacy what Sabi left, and then seeing the politics and the science and how the money move around right after. 2 days after Sabi died, they announced on TV, vaccine for AIDS. We finally think we're able to reverse the AIDS virus. And we have synthesized a series of compounds that will give us da-da-da-da-da-da. You finally think. 2 days, 48 hours after they announced Sabi passing, you finally think. It doesn't have to do with this guy, Alfredo Bowman, that washed you niggas in court 30 years ago? In the 80s? Proved a black man could do it by regenerating the mucous membrane. So January 1st, we starting a 40-day mucous membrane fast. The second thing is, just this a couple months ago, in September, October, they start releasing the clinical trial and laboratory work that shows that cancers, tumors, etc. cannot, fibroid cysts cannot exist in anybody with a fully functional mucous membrane, because it's your stem cells in conjunction with your melanocytes that destroys those things. So in order for them to even exist in the first place, those things have to already have been attacked to the point where they can't function anymore, or not to optimal level. So that's going to be our focus all year for 2017. Question?
The whole situation with the balancing the glucose and
Galactose.
And galactose intake, is that in any specific course or something, or any specific book?
It's definitely in the God Complex course. I got a PDF online called The Live It for Light Bodies. It's in there, and it's got a list of the foods, how much milligrams galactose is in each one, etc., etc. But until then, you can eyeball stuff for pigment and color. Your purples, your browns.
What you mean?
Well, your fruit is the color it is because of the color it reflects. So you can tell what part of the spectrum it's absorbing. So as long as you get a good mix of fruits, especially the darker colors, like a lot of people don't really deal with eggplants and stuff like that, but you should incorporate those in, and you be wavy as long as you get a lot of that stuff in daily. See, a lot of times we don't get enough of that stuff in daily. When I say daily, I mean it's got to be the focus. So even if you're still eating some other stuff, just eating a certain amount of fruits and vegetables daily will kind of balance a lot of that stuff out. You know what I'm saying? I don't know anybody that can eat seeded purple grapes without going to the bathroom.
I was doing Kadim's grape juice for a moment,
Man.
and I want to know if I was right to question what it says on the back now. Potassium sulfate, the sulfate part.
It's in the Kadim's, it's a natural byproduct of the juice sitting around, etc., etc.
Okay.
So it's cool. I mean, obviously you want to go natural, but if you sit grapes around, it's gonna happen. Now, you do have to balance that out because again, you're having an extract.
Right.
So whatever you don't have the whole fruit, there's going to be some issues because fruit is structured in a way like all natural plants. So that way you have a balance in there. What do I mean by that? Grapes are incredibly healthy, especially for the black body. Two crucial enzymes to your scalp health, your mucous membrane health, is tyrosinase and catalase. Tyrosinase helps with pigment. Catalase helps turn hydrogen peroxide back into water. Hydrogen peroxide is a byproduct of cellular respiration. So anytime your cells breathe, peroxide is being produced. All right? And again, hydrogen peroxide is just a type of water. Remember earlier I was saying there's different types of water. So you got H2O, your basic water molecule. Structured water molecules being H3O2. Hydrogen peroxide is H2O2. It sits right in the middle between your basic water and your structured water. Catalase comes by and snatches one of them oxygens off of the hydrogen peroxide and turns it back into your basic H2O2. So as the cells in your scalp breathe, they respire, they go through their processes, they start to produce hydrogen peroxide. How do I know this? Because my hair has been gray from like 12 years old. So anytime I put that catalase back into my diet through purple whole grapes and things like that, grape seeds and other things like that have it in there, resveratrol, I get that conversion process which breaks that hydrogen peroxide back down before it can bleach the pigment from the hair and turn that back into water, which re-strengthens the hair once you have the catalyzers, a recycling process. Instead of the excess from the mitochondrial respiration bleaching the hair, it now strengthens the hydrogen bonds, which is the first defense mechanism for the hair, because the catalase, the enzyme, turns that back into pure water. Back to your thing, it's just making sure you get that whole balance, because although we know grapes ferment quick into alcohol because they attract yeast fast, which is where the alcohol production comes from. The grape seed destroys and kills and is anti-yeast and anti-fungal. So when you have the whole grape with the seed and you eat it like that, you get all the benefits without having to worry about any excess alcohol production or whatever the case may be. The thing with Kadim's is you need to get Kadim's from a store that sells a lot of Kadim's. If they sell a lot of Kadim's, that means it's not sitting on the shelf that long. If it sits on the shelf long, you're going to taste some Kadim's, because Kadim's is real grape juice for real. So you'll get some Kadeems that got a buzz to it. You're like, ooh, how long this? Okay, this done start. We down Wine Street now. We have left grape juice and we're going somewhere else with this thing now. So you gotta be careful when you see Kadeems in these places because they'll have dust on the top. That'll let you know right there, don't get that. Yeah. Because Kadeems is a kosher product.
Right.
And we know Jews are heavily invested into the real estate and the backdrop of a lot of businesses. The supermarkets have to take their hat off and carry certain products that Jewish people want to buy, even if there's not a heavy population of Jewish people in that area to buy them. When the big wigs that run things, landlords and all that come through, they want to see Jewish section. So Jewish section exists. Even if nobody buys it. The supermarket, that's just like a push to the bosses. So you just got to make sure if you go on Kadeems, you go fresh, and then make sure that somewhere in your diet you got some other stuff going on to balance out any yeast, whatever. Questions?
You say the God complex and live it or diet?
Oh, live it for light bodies.
Live it for light bodies.
Yeah. It'll show you, and she come right up here with a handful, see? This is, I don't have a slideshow. This is from here. So she couldn't have knew I was going to talk about purple grapes with the seed in it. So you see I wasn't just tooting her horn for no reason. She gonna make you some basics, whatever you taste, whatever your palate is applicable to the palate, but she gonna have all of these things that you're supposed to have on deck. And these things are super rich. And your galactose, etc. Question?
Do you know if there's any new chemicals added to the water to purify it that's drying out our bodies?
Okay. That's a good question. Here's a new thing that I know that's crazy with water, period. And I don't know if it's a new thing, but I know the awareness of it, for me, is new. And I've been on water tight for a while. Caleb, what's wrong? Whoa, come on, Chase, be the big brother. 27%, oh. Come on, bro. By the time it get to 0, then I'll switch, let them run mines down. Then by the time that's happening, we should be out of here. Right? I mean, get him some AAA batteries for his robot, and then he can stop going crazy. So, the new thing about the water, and I guess it segues to my children anyway. When I brought them to Detroit to live with me, I went to go get me some new air filters and all this kind of stuff for the house. So we're looking for air filters, and when you go on Walmart, the section where the air filters are has the vaporizers, the humidifiers, the water filters, and all that stuff is in the same area. So I look over and see the new pure filter boxes got this yellow thing on it, and you know, whenever they highlight something, that's the sales pitch. So it says eliminates 99.99% of all water microcysts. It's like, what? A company doesn't invest money into creating a solution for a problem until the problem is so widespread and rampant that they know they're going to get their money back. The consciousness of, the awareness of the problem has to be to a certain level so that people know whenever they see that, boom, to buy it. I never heard of microcysts in the water, but once I start looking, then I start to see. There's little, and I talked about this back in the days about the water processing, how they process water. You know, they don't really pull stuff out of the water. They just put chemicals into the water. So you got like this gloop, you know, passing itself off as water. You know, and then people put the filter on and like, oh, miss, is it good if I drink it out the filter? most of these filters is carbon-based, right? And so carbon is the element that was the magic element because it makes the invisible visible, right? So that's one thing we need to know about blackness, right? We make invisible things visible. We manifest, we create. That's what carbon does. But it bonds things to it. Other elements. So when you have a carbon filter, chemical problems, chemical contaminants, the carbon filter is really good for. But now, what about the biological contaminants? They're going right past that carbon filter, right into your cup. Which now, the term for is microcyst.
So what are your opinions on these new alkaline filters that people are buying and putting in their homes? Do you think they're worth it?
Nope.
No.
I mean, well, it depends. You mean for to drink water?
Yeah, they're like
No.
filtration systems.
It's a waste. It's still tap. You got really expensive tap.
Would distilling be better?
Who?
Distilling the water?
No. And a lot of people do that, and I'm glad we're having this conversation because a lot of misconceptions about water. Distilled water is only good to make herbs in. And the reason is because distilled water is dead. It's dead. Water has an intelligence. The first life comes from water because water's ability to attract and pull things into itself that it needs. So the distilling process takes everything out of water that makes water live. So the moment you put distilled water around anything, that water is going to start pulling minerals and vitamins, etc., out of it into itself. So you don't want to do that unless you're going through a particular type of detox. Like if you're trying to detox the body of heavy metals and all that, distilled water is amazing for that. If you're trying to make herbs, you boiling stuff, etc., etc. Like if you get you some sea moss gold, the raw one, and you got to make it in the house, it's good to use some distilled water with that process. Actually, you could play with the water with that. Because I'd be going crazy. Sea moss time is laboratory time. I put all kind of stuff in my sea moss when I make it because it's a gel. Right? So that creates a much more bioavailable conduit to get other nutrients into the body if you know, start playing around with it. So I'll be putting the mama tonics in there. I put the herbs in there, all kind of stuff. I'll be going crazy with my moss. But, so no, distilled water is not the way to go. Because I'm in Detroit, I get a lot of people asking me stuff about Flint still. One of the biggest problems that had people in Flint getting sick is they were, a lot of people were boiling water. Because we get that, you know, that's the old school, well, you know, something happens, boil the water. We gotta get a little more specific. That's why we gotta get a little familiar with the science. But it's only good for the opposite with the carbon filter. Carbon filter catches chemicals, doesn't catch biological bad guys, boogeymen. Boiling water catches boogeymen, but it doesn't catch chemicals. It concentrates them. So, if the problem is lead in the water, and you boil the water, you're just concentrating the amount of lead that's in that water, so you just made your problem twice as bad. So if you have maybe 100 ppms of lead dispersed throughout a gallon of water, and you boil out half the water, you're now going to have about 200 ppms, because that half a gallon still retains that 100 ppms, because there's less water, it's a higher concentration. Now, the problem with the water systems, which is why it's never going to be fixed, so just forget about it. To do a city would cost an amount of money that doesn't even circulate in America. I need y'all to get that. Most of money in America is electronic. Debit cards and zeros and shit on the screen. It's not actual physical, tangible cash and gold. And so to redo just one city's water system is trillions of dollars. Trillions. One city. This is why people were disappearing in Flint around that accident. Anybody that really knew the inner workings of the Flint thing died immediately, mysteriously. Quick. The executive, the person who witnessed whatever, gone. Boom, 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 boom. because that's the problem, the elephant in the room nobody wants to talk about. Lead comes into the water because the pipes are made with lead. And they keep running this shit on people about fluoride being good for whatever, they switches every few years, but being good. What fluoride does is it pulls lead out of pipes. So, it's the fluoride in the water that's pulling the lead out of the pipes into the water. It's not gonna stop. So forget about it. So what's good for that is to have the carbon filters, because the carbon filters would deal with lead and some of those other things. Good for your shower, whatever. But it's just too much, and that's not even the type of water. Again, you want spring water, artesian water to drink with. But a lot of people will start drinking bottled water and then cook with tap. Or get fooled and buy purified water. Like they don't know what the hell that means. Purified means tap. Tap. Purified means tap. So if you're buying purified water, you might as well have bought something sugary and flavory. So if you're stuck somewhere and you're super thirsty, and the machine only has Dasani, Aquafina, and who knows, like strawberry, kiwi, mango, blaster. Get the blaster. At least it's going to taste good. But don't ever find yourself buying Dasani and Aquafina. And I forgot which one of those has potassium, yeah, the damn lethal injection ingredient. So you don't want those at all.
Yeah, my question was about pipes and water. So I'm in the construction, so I see all of the new construction that's going on. So basically what they're doing is, even though they're Europeans moving into all of the new construction, they just tap it back into the old system again?
Yeah.
You're making it seem as if...
Because the basic structure is already laid. So when they build a new housing complex or a new housing development, they just running new pipes through that system and then plugging that into the underground where the other system is already at. But they can't take them, the city people would have to damn near leave a city for a little while. For them to completely uproot, like they would have to rebuild. That's why I said it's trillions. You gotta reach to the pipes first. So before you do that, you gotta tear up all the shit that's on top of them pipes to be able to get down to the infrastructure of the city. And places like Philly and New York, you can forget about it. Because we got a subway system. So once you got a subway system, it's a wrap. They have to destroy the subway system to get down. So it's not gonna happen. So you gotta just reprioritize and go bottled water. We cook with bottled water in my house. Cheapest spring water you can find. 89 cents a gallon, 79 cents a gallon. It doesn't have to be like Fiji. You got to have a super bag to cook with Fiji. I don't know.
I wanted that website with the spring water on it. I wanted to point it out. It's findaspring.com.
Findaspring.com, so you can find fresh water.
The last one that I looked up, it was 6 gallons for $1.25. You got to bring your own gallons. Now, whether that comes out of a pipe or not, I don't know. You'll have to kind of check that when you go to each one, because then that pipe issue comes in.
No, the spring should be good.
Yeah, that's what I
But
yep.
With the springs though, just make sure you get a spring that's not janky. You know what I'm saying? Like it ain't a hustle.
Yeah.
You know, you want to make sure that they test it regularly, because springs and well water can have their own other issues.
So what do you think about like rainwater capture? You know, especially for the people out in Flint, it doesn't seem like they had much of a choice to spend a lot of money on spring water or.
I would say it's a give or take with rainwater. You got a lot of chemical contaminants in the air. So it's where you at. Some of the rainwater is phenomenal. It's got some, because rain is a natural process of purifying water. Clouds are extremely everything we see going on around us is electromagnetic. I don't know how people think that we are not electromagnetic. We couldn't be here if we weren't. These clouds that we see weigh 50, 100, 200, 500 tons. So think about how a thing that weighs even 1 ton could stay in the air. It's electrostatic pressure. It's a balance, right? But we learned about that thousands of years ago. See, all this stuff is shit that we forgot. That's what shoe, God's shoe, right? But we don't really understand that because we take shoe's power away. This is happening in the black family. We take shoe's power away and we give it to Ma'at. So we only know about Ma'at's feather. I mean, we only know about shoe's feather from Ma'at wearing it. But that's called a shut, named after shoe. And the reason why feathers were always used in regard to electricity is because of their ability to create charge. It's the electricity that allows birds to fly when they flap the feathers, right? And that was given to us in the story of, well, the creation of hair. The creation of Heru, right? We missed that. A saw got chopped up into pieces, put a saw back together, then Isis turned into a bird. Me and a couple brothers were debating on what that bird was. Neither here nor there for right now. But she flapped her wings. And with the electricity she generated, she electrified the body of a saw through his hair. So it was the connection between the feather and the hair, and that also talks about how species were created on this planet. Because they'll tell you that feathers came from scales. No science to back that up. But when you look at feathers, they grow out of follicles just like the hair on our head. So that's that connection. That's that connection right there told in that same old story. And then when you look at Heru, right? When you see the older depictions of Heru, he always has scales on his body. So they try to say, oh, well, that's the reference right there. That's not the reference right there. That's showing you Heru as a hair. Because when you look at a hair follicle, it's covered in scales called cuticles, which are the cuticles that must be removed for the hair to get permed. You see? So that's where it all comes from. But see, that's why I got a language program coming out. And I got to see, Kemetu Ubay, he don't even know how far his lessons reach. Look at that. Look at that. Start the class. Clap it up for Kemetu Ubay. Come on. Because he in the back chilling, and I talk about that being something that we got to get back to. A lot of lecturers and speakers don't listen to other lecturers and speakers. But it was his etymology class that he did years ago that I got on 125th Street that started me into going back into languages. And so now I done discovered that the Medu Neter, the language, the original language has never been lost. It's never stopped being spoken. It's still spoken today. And still we use it. The word for water in the Medu Neter was what? Anybody guess?
Water.
Boom! Water! See? But we won't get that. Because when we look up water, they might tell us it comes from here or there or there. They're not going to relate that back to the Medu Neter. There's a reason. That language was so powerful, it was broken down into different ways. So you had a piece of it stolen, which became Latin, etc., etc. That was the magical parts of that language. The magical parts of the Medu Neter went that way. Then you had the more basic commoner folks. They grabbed that, and that became like the Greek Coptic thing that they did over there. And so all of these stopped when they should be continuing to go back to give that homage and reference to the Medu Neter. There's a lot of words that's original Medu Neter words that your ancestors spoke 6,000, 7,000, 8,000 years ago that we still use every day today. And we just don't even know it, like water. And the power of that, I'm using that because that's mostly what we're talking about today. But you have to understand how language works. We think in language. We think in language. So in order to teach somebody a concept that they don't know, they have to use the words you give them for that concept. So, you can prove who gave who what civilization with language, bar none, like nothing else. Because the words remain the same. So when you look into English, the American version and the England version, you will see that all of the words for government, organization, etc., etc., are the same words in French. So we all speak French already? Yeah. Any word that, if you know any word that ends in A-N-T, you speak French. Elephant. Restaurant. You speak French already. See, I'm Haitian, so it was important for us. But if you already speaking French, then you already speaking Latin. If you already speaking Latin, then you already speaking the Metal Netra. Why is there no connection? Why is the connection broken? Because then you're going to start to tap into something that is more powerful than the most powerful nuclear, the arms race. An arms race is about biology. It's about genetics. The strongest bombs on Earth were synthesized from hydrogen because that's the core of your existence. Period. Even the nukes is still about how hydrogen falls back into each other and produces energy. The same thing that's going on in a fully functional mucous membrane, what melanocytes do naturally every day.
Quick question for you. There was a video I saw recently on YouTube. So this man taking several different types of bottled water and checking the acidity level, each one. Fiji, Aquafina, Evian, you name it. My question to you is, what bottled water should we buy? Of course, spring water. And how long should that bottled water be on the shelf before we actually decide to buy them now? Because of the plastics that the bottle is made from.
Exactly. Slipping in the back. The best we can afford, honestly. But I wouldn't use alkaline as my guide. My first thing is natural. That's the first thing, because people get confused with alkaline anyway. And I'm glad you brought that up because I can segue a little bit back into the hair and the scalp issue too with that. But so people get confused with acid and alkaline, and because we are in such an acidic condition, the trend was always move towards alkalinity, but the purpose of the moving towards alkalinity was to get us back to balance. Your blood doesn't want to be acid or alkaline. It wants to be neutral. Your blood sits right at 7.365. Right? And I like to look at them numbers. It's so significant. 7.365. 7 days a week, 365 days a year. That's where your blood sit at on the pH scale.
Like you said, math is killing niggas.
Math is killing niggas. So acid is no good, alkaline is no good, right? And various areas of the body branch off, and based on what their job is, some of the body parts want to be alkaline, some of them want to be acid. But the blood, the bedrock, the foundation for those things always wants to be neutral. So if we look at, before we go there, so the idea with the water is go natural first. Then you want to get a water that's just above neutral. So you want your water to be 7.365, maybe 7.8, 8.1, like right in there. Once you start getting into 9 point, like I seen a 10 alkaline, like that shit crazy. Right, that's you going into bleach now. Because Clorox is at like a 12 alkaline, and ammonia's 14. So Clorox, bleach, and ammonia are super alkaline. The same as perms are. Now why that's so detrimental for your scalp is that your skin and your scalp are acidic for a reason. It serves as a barrier for viruses, bacteria, etc., to keep the body safe. So your scalp's supposed to be at like a 3, 4, or 5 on the acid scale. Perms are always between a 12 and 14. That's how they strip the nutrients, etc. And that's why you have the intermediary neutralizers and all that kind of stuff to prep the scalp and bring it up. And then once you get all the way up to the perm, you got that other shampoo that you got to put in there to now try to bring it back down and get it back to a state where your hair won't, like your scalp won't start dissolving. Which is why you got to leave it in for a certain amount of time, and then it start burning like fire, and then you got to get that stuff out of there. Because it will dissolve the scalp and the hair if it stays on there too long. Like all you got to do is get a perm, mix it up, home experiment. Get a perm, mix it up, take a ball of hair from your brush or your comb, and put it in there. You will see if you leave it in there too long, when you come back, you just have like dark traces of residue from the proteins that were melted and dissolved in there. So first thing, natural. Second thing, you want it to be slightly alkaline. That's it, so it gives the body a little bit of charge. The third thing to look for is what's in the water. Natural bicarbonates are good. Bicarbonates are really good for the body. Bicarbonates is what the body uses to neutralize acids and things like that in the blood, etc. anyway. So that's always found in ocean water. That's good. But yeah, so you don't want to get any type of crazy perm stuff going on, ladies, because it doesn't make a difference what it is. Lye just determines, well, lye is a lie, right? So you think no lye means that it's a different chemical makeup, which it is slightly, but the only thing that changes is sodium versus potassium. And sodium and potassium is what each one of your cells use in the body to make energy. So when you have sodium hydroxide, because the first thing that has to go for a hair follicle to be vulnerable is the hydrogen bond. So that's why it's always a hydroxide, to break down the hydrogen first. Sodium is what the considered a lye part is. So sodium hydroxide is a lye perm. A no lye perm is potassium hydroxide. It's going to do the same thing. Same thing. And both of them totally destroy the enzyme activity of the scalp, which is where the health is. It destroys the follicle's ability to produce colostrum. All the follicles in your body have to produce colostrum to keep the cells, that food's starting to get to me. I'm smelling it up here. And it's hell for me to smell that and not go get some. So that's the first thing that we got to maintain is that balance. And those things break it down. Then the kitty perms we talked about being twice as strong as the adult perms, because adult perms is just a maintenance thing. It's just maintenance. The kitty perm has to break every defense that's already set by nature up against everything else. So it destroys that heru, that light body.
Letting water sit in a copper container, does that do anything?
Well, here's the thing with copper. I'm glad, man. Y'all like reading everything that I'm leaving out, reminding me. Good. So we go into the rest of the bonds. So the hydrogen bonds are the first bonds in the hair follicles, in the hair rather, and those are the easiest to remove. All you gotta do is add heat. You completely dehydrate the hair. The hair goes from from strong, kinky, curly, to straight. Now, what remains are the chalcogen bonds. Chalcogen is the family of the periodic table: oxygen, selenium, and sulfur. Now, there's two major competing biochemistries on this planet: sulfur base, selenium base. The darker you are, the more selenium based your biochemistry is going to be. The lighter you are, the more sulfur based. Now, for my people that are fair skinned, it's ugly because you have both of those biochemistries competing. Blood is not the same as anything else in the body. Anything else in the body, the dominant one takes over. Blood, you always have both. You got to get that. So if mom is A blood, dad is B blood, the baby's going to be which blood type?
AB.
AB. Meaning both bloodlines exist in the baby now. Period. The reason why they don't mention the O is because O is pure. It's pure. So if you have O-type blood cells, there's no antigens for those, so it's pure. So if you have an O parent and an A parent, now they just say the child is A, but the O still exists in that child. The original pure blood doesn't go anywhere. It's in the building still. Right? So this is why you got to kind of navigate through some of the science. And because they're in a family, sulfur, oxygen, and selenium, they can always replace any one of the other in a molecule, which is where concussion syndrome comes from. When people get a concussion, the selenium bonds that normally protect the brain in the tau proteins, etc., are replaced with sulfur, and they start to attack the brain. So the key is to get that stuff out of there and flush the sulfothiols from the brain, the pools of water that the brain sits in. Why that's important for the hair is because people have predominantly one or the other. You either have sulfur bonds after the hydrogen, or you have selenium bonds. Now, where copper comes into play, because I know you're like, okay, you didn't mention copper yet. Chalcogen means born from copper. Chalcogen means born from copper, or arises from copper. So, oxygen, selenium, and sulfur are part of the family of elements that arise from copper. So, inside a lot of these Korean places, they're taking advantage of folks because all the products, sulfur this, sulfur that, sulfur 8, blah, blah, blah. And we buying it, rubbing it in like nobody's business. Killing ourselves. For some people, that's going to work. It's not going to work for you. You need to replace the selenium. But they don't have selenium rub-ons in there, do they? Not at all. We got to do that. See, when black business gets like that, that's why it's got to be made for you, by you, for you. That's why we need to R&D money. See, all of our R&D money, we're programmed to get rid of. Every group of people on this planet, they have a certain amount of money that they invest back into discovering things and building things for themselves. We do recreation with all that money. Video games, trees, alcohol, strip club, toys, you know, toys. Niggas get a car, and they need a car that has super wheels. The wheels gotta be bigger than the car, and then the windows gotta be, like, I don't know, we get crazy. Because we don't have anything smart to do with the money, we start to just find new ways of blowing it. And then that's become cool. Who's blowing the most? Blowing money fast. And then the faster you blow it, the more you're balling, and it gets crazier. Because now, we got a spend disease. And only thing that's designed to do is to make sure that the money that will go back into reinvesting in ourselves, R&D wise, doesn't exist. So we don't have money to fund the people in the community that could build or create the selenium-based hair products, etc., etc. But that's the stuff that's in the hair bonds that we got to deal with. So copper becomes crucial to your biology because innate copper is the second most conductive mineral, right after silver. Silver, copper, then gold. Biological-wise, copper is the most conductive, and copper is the mineral that all of your photoelectric molecules in your body rely on for action. So any type of absorbing photons or creating electrons or electricity is going to be a copper-based action. And then we have popular health conversations turning us against some of these things in the body, like I forgot this thing. Everybody says, oh, it's bad for you. When you get stressed out, you produce it.
Cortisol.
Cortisol. Boom. Cortisol is a copper-based hormone in the body, or copper-based bile in the body, however you want to look at it, that destroys bacteria, fungus, and fat. It's the same thing produced when you go to the gym. And so it's funny to me, knowing biochemistry, how people would tell you it's healthy. Go to the gym, you gotta work out. Then the same person, zoop, watch out for cortisol production, because cortisol is a bad thing. Anytime you fast or go to the gym, that's the first thing being produced is cortisol. That's how it gets rid of the fat. Cortisol, copper-based enzymes. When you don't have enough iodine in your diet, the T3 and the T4 that the thyroid and thymus and all that kind of stuff produce. Not only do they need iodine, but they interact with coppers in the body. So that becomes one of the most powerful minerals that you need in black biochemistry.
So is it lack of iodine that causes the person to have issues with their thyroid?
Yes, and iodine was in all of the natural salts, but again, because we have different biochemistries, everybody doesn't need that, so when they pull that out, zoop, it doesn't affect everybody, and because it doesn't affect the people that make those things, they have no reason to put it back in. So if we're not getting sea vegetables, i.e. some moss in, right, we're not getting the sea vegetables in, we're not going to get iodine in. Right, so in the pink lips, the Heru formula for the hair, you have that.
So tap water in a copper bottle, like.
Man, stop that. Yo, I'm telling you, listen. Everywhere I go, folks be trying to keep this free shit going. I'm so glad I had my dad around. He taught me free is no good. Like that should be a red flag. As soon as that shit free, know you're going down the wrong way. Period. So everybody trying to figure out, well, if I add a little Himalayan sea salt to the tap, what about that? I'm like, okay, you got Himalayan sea salt in tap. Boom. All the bullshit still in the tap, and now it has Himalayan sea salt in there. You add a little lemon. What if I put the lemon and the Himalayan? What if I put the lemon, the Himalayan sea salt, put it in a crystal thing with a magnet, and sit it outside in the sun? We will have Himalayan sea salt, lemon, in tap, electrically charged, so that the toxins and the poisons are much more bioavailable and have an easier way to get into your cells. So now we're making the job of the poisons easier. Because the water sees the electromagnetics and opens up like, hey, then it gets that Trojan horse effect. All kind of foul shit jump out of there. Ah, got your ass. Because we're trying to do some free. You know what I'm saying? We got to get away from free. We got to learn that we got to pay how we weigh.
Yes, sir, but I have a question about blood purification. You know, and the necessity or importance, and what would you recommend as a if there isn't a general kind of prescription for what you
The question is blood purification. And what I suggest for blood purification?
Yes, sir.
The easiest, best thing to do is vacation for people in Philly. No, I kid you not. We got to get back to the basics. Light, water. So the best blood purification happens when you lay down as naked as possible on the beach, in the sun, close to the equator. Now, that is free. However, based on your lifestyle, getting to it, days off, travel, all that, now you got to figure all that out. But then we back to securing the bag alert. Right? Because it's money that prevents us from being in the places we need to be in. Because now we here, and we tied here, family shit and us and all that, and then we start thinking about the things that tie us to a place that we know we shouldn't be in. So our money base. Because then you start thinking, oh, well, I got the family here, and okay, so what? Get tickets for everybody. Yeah, but I don't want to move 10 people because, so what? Get a bigger house. And if you can't do those things, then you got to go back to step number 1, secure the bag alert. Get the money. That's the difference between the new generation hustlers and my dad's folks. They did all of the same wicked shit to get money as the niggas do today. But when they got the money, they put it into bookstores, laundromats, cleaners, grocery stores, schools. We don't do that now. We buy outfits, chains, and throw it on the strip floor. We throw the shit on the floor. Like literally, we're throwing it on the ground. I'm like, that's a sickness all in itself. I can't even stand to see that shit. Like, it drives me crazy. We're throwing the money on the ground. Like, niggas are killing each other, risking their freedom to get the money and then throw it on the ground. Like, what? Shoot, niggas making it rain. We gotta make it evaporate. The opposite, evaporate. Right? So that's the idea. We gotta secure the bag and get back to where we belong at. So that's the easiest way. The second step is, like, we got the fast coming January 1st. We get the herbs, change the diet, get into eating more live food. When you eat live food, you deal with the one problem that doesn't exist, that we have, that no other living animal deals with on this planet, is we eat food that doesn't have enzymes. Every cellular activity requires enzymes. Every cellular activity requires enzymes. I want y'all to say that too. Every cellular activity requires enzymes. Okay, see, you niggas need enzymes. I need more energy. Every cellular activity
requires enzymes.
You cannot get enzymes from dead food. That's the key to getting the fruits and the vegetables again. Enzyme activity. Right? Then, you know, you get into minerals and all that kind of stuff, but you got to have enzymes. If you don't have enzymes, but you take mineral products, they can't be used. Minerals are tools for enzymes to use in their job. So we're putting the cart before the horse when we load up our body with minerals and we don't have any enzymes there. It's like having a construction plant. You bought all kinds of nails, screwdrivers, hammers, and all that shit, and you don't have a staff. You don't have a crew. No one can pick those hammers up and start to build because you don't have workers. That's your enzymes. Every time you eat dead food, you deplete your body of enzymes. You have digestive enzymes and metabolic enzymes. When there are no enzymes present in your food, your body pulls enzymes from your cells to become digestive enzymes to break that stuff down. The most melanated place, one of the most melanated glands we have in our body is your salivary glands. A lot of people don't talk about that because it is electricity that helps the electrolysis and hydrolysis that begins the breaking down process along with enzymes. The salivary glands only produce enzymes for fruits and vegetables, plant-based things. It does not produce enzymes for fat. It does not produce enzymes for meat. This is one of the reasons why your pancreas gets so taxed through the normal diet. It's not just sugar. The pancreas's job is to deal with sugar, but it has to produce excessively high amounts of lipase to break down the fats because we don't have enzymes for it. Every time you eat meat, it has to drop the pH of the digestive system really low, really acidic, because the enzymes that break down dead flesh only thrive in a hyperacidic environment. So you can't really get the body back to balance with a diet full of meat. And then we hit our bodies with a double whammy because most of the meat we like is fried. So now you got the fried meat in the grease with the cheese. At the same damn time. At the same damn time. Right? So that's how we jamming ourselves up. So that's the key. Really comes down to getting the info. You know what I'm saying? And I know y'all see me with the no slideshow, into the science, out the science. That's just time. And then surrounding myself with people that feed my brain, like Prince, like Ramadine, who's hiding in the back. That's my old head back there. I get text blasts from him. Yo, watch this video. Yo, watch this video. Go at him. Get him. Get it out. Then you got brothers like Hawk who facilitate this. That put that this is conscious. Hawk is conscious. Hawk never has to go vegan. He never has to stop saying cuss words. Like he never has to do any of the gay shit that people associate with being conscious. I'm tired of this image. It's like the white Jesus image. If we just read the Bible and deal with the stories of Jesus, we don't get this frail guy. We get a strong, muscular-looking guy because he was born in North Africa and absorbed all that sunlight. How does he then look weak? Because image is everything. Image is everything. So conscious people have to be like, wearing sandals in the wintertime and burning incense and, hugging the trees. And where is that? Conscious means to be consciously aware of what your environment is going on and be able to get busy with some solutions. And then being so committed that when the bumps in the road come, you ready to fight. People just come up here and buy the stuff. They don't know how many times this place was this close to not existing. Not existing. And he still kept his compass straight. Because it's easy to fill this up with some unconscious shit and get the money flowing. Easy. But he don't. He don't. And then people, I'm sorry, Hawk. I know you might like him. I don't. People like David Banner
They want to come up in here and get a cosign from Hawk because they know this is ground zero. This ground zero for real conscious. You come in here and get a cosign from Black and Nobel, that speaks to the whole world and says this guy gets busy in the community. But Hawk is too nice to these people. He should make them drop the bag at the door. You want to co-sign where the bag at? Because we got lights and shit to keep on. We got programs in here. We got people like, and it's the EnQi. I got to pay plane tickets, etc., to get here. The lecture's free for you, but it's not free for me. The research, I got to buy the books. I got to study the books. That takes time. Time that I could be working or spending with my children and my family. So that we're not dealing with crazy shit and then we got to go through all kinds of stuff to go deal with. So, part of that is my fault I got to deal with. And part of that's your fault. Because children don't understand that. You're not home, they don't care who you... Yeah, well, you know, I'm reversing cancer. They like, Dad, come on. We miss LeBron, okay? And Steph had an all-time... That's what they care about. So where's the balance? You don't get to come and put consciousness on as an outfit. So when I see these guys come through here, I feel like I'm supposed to see a complete renovation in Black and Nobel. We're supposed to own the corner already, where so many people come through here to borrow Hakeem Hopkins' credibility. Because that's what they're doing. They're standing next to Hop and Black and Nobel because consciousness has now become a business industry. And we have to understand that. So people will hit me up on Instagram and say, oh, EnQi, you trying to own consciousness. No, I'm not. I'm just trying to make sure that we own the industry surrounding it. We don't need to own consciousness. You can't own a state of mind. But when the books, the products, the outfits, and all that come off of consciousness, when rappers are taking off Jesus and putting on Ankhs, huh? Who make the Ankh? Oh, the same nigga that sold you to Jesus? Now we got a problem now. Right? Wandering Feather's supposed to be the new Jacob. Yeah, why not? He know how to set diamonds and all that shit. Why is the Wandering Feather? He's been doing that. He's invested in that. He put years into that. And when the business was up, he was up. And when it was down, he was down. He took his bruises and bumps. That's a fighter. That's a cat. He can put on the outfit. Yeah, this is who I am. I'm going to get the shine that comes along with this thing, and I'm going to get all whatever else come with this thing. Because I pay the dues for that. You see? So I gets on David Banner and all these dudes they want to wear consciousness as an outfit because it's a new form of business, but then I don't see where's the bookstores? Where's the clinic? Your man, the light-skinned, half-white guy, he's got 2-3 platinum albums he wrote and produced himself with no features. David Banner's now in full-blown feature films, upscale, not B-movies. That means you're getting a bag. Where's 5,000? Where's 10,000 dropped in Black and Nobel? Because that's what's reinvigorating your career, David Banner. Right? Let the hose drop down on the floor. That's over. He's not still winning off of his music career. Nobody's buying a David Banner album. Except for the new conscious people he's trying to reinvent himself to market to. It's business. So if it's business, I don't have no problem with you doing the business. I don't have no problem with your awareness. We all have a start and we all grow. People don't even recognize me now from my start. They don't even recognize me. All my niggas still on the block. I could walk right past them, but the energy is different. So it's not about that. We all start somewhere and grow. But you cannot play with this thing. You don't get to wear this as a costume for sales. And think that, you know, I'm getting ready to pussyfoot around with you because I make mines. I'm not dependent on these niggas and don't want an opportunity with them. So I don't need to play with them. Get busy and drop the bag off. Like Styles P. Look at the example. Styles P never pretends or gestures to be conscious. He never proselytizes for, why? He's getting busy in the community. Health initiative. The bartenders are global. You don't see them jockeying for attention on video. But the juice bars is opening. The after school programs is opening. See, that's consciousness. And when you listen to his music, what is it? Cocaine cowboy shit. He wow, Styles P, your favorite rapper's favorite rapper. That music never changed. But what he's doing, what his money has. And when questioned about it, he said, I'm a father. End of story. I'm a father. So as a father now, I'm invested in the next generation. So I'm supposed to take my money and invest it into the new institutions that'll be here for the next generation. That's real shit. See? So we got to get into substance and move away from the fake shit. Anybody can write anything on Instagram. Okay? Knock it off. Niggas conscious on Instagram, you think that means something. Hey, you know, don't vote for Trump. He's fighting the Mexicans. Oh my God! David Banner's consciousness, he said something about Trump. Get the fuck out of here. Where's the bag? Get busy. Put the programs out there. We want to see the restaurants, the vegan shit open up. Where's the vegan chain? We should have a drop squad kitchen shutting McDonald's ass down.
Right. Everything, you know?
Sister Zacchaeus, global. They should be shutting down, you know, we should have our shit. And then in our stores, we'll have one thing. Frankfurters. For you meat eaters. Right? Franks. Right? That's how they do us. When I'm on the road, it's nothing but black bean burgers. Everywhere. Vegan menu, black bean burger. Like, the hell is this shit?
One guy, he has a restaurant, and the main meal is like a shepherd's pie, version of a shepherd's pie you can think of at a modest price. So that guy, he says, well, is that all you sell, a shepherd's pie? He says, no, we sell a cheeseburger, and look at the menu, the cheeseburger was $500. What? He said, so, you know, we do offer something else. Other than our shepherd's pie.
Facts. So you can get you a shepherd's pie for $8, or you can get you a cheeseburger for $500. Your choice. Your choice. Yeah. So we got to do them like that, and that starts with money. So everybody that thinks they conscious, that's unconscious of the fact that we have to get money, you're fooling yourself. Okay, that's why you're going to work every day. You got to get money. And then most of us are working at places that are unhealthy, biochemically, emotionally, mentally. One of the most dangerous things you can do is subvert your own will. When your will is suppressed, the reason why you could feel your will suppressed is because it changes the chemicals produced in your body. It changes the chemicals produced in your body. That's a part of every natural born living organism's, like that's your first right. Your expression. That shit don't even have a place in these Western schools or at work. Which is one of the reasons why I chose to relocate to Michigan, as Michigan is one of the best places to homeschool. There's no law in Michigan surrounding homeschool except for the parent must be the homeschool facilitator. So as long as you teach your children in Michigan, you good. Now, here's a flip side to it. A lot of people playing with consciousness again are using that as a way to let their children slip through the wayside. Because we got babies coming into our joint, 10 years old, the parents are so enamored with the child's ability to talk grown. See, there's a difference between speaking adult and being intelligent and being able to articulate yourself. So if the child can talk grown, the parents like, oh yeah, my child's super intelligent, and da 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 da. And then I immediately go, okay. Read. I'm like, close the book. Child 10 years old. You guys sit down over there with the kindergarten children. Now the parents upset with me because they think their tuition means something. Oh, well, I'm not paying for my child. Okay, that's fine. Take him out of here. Because I started to homeschool just to homeschool mine and then include other folks, but I'm still going to spend this money that I spend regardless on mine. So your child not being here just makes it easy to concentrate on mine. Kick rocks. Like, damn, he's arrogant. No, he's not. I'm focused. Your baby's dumb. Yeah. If we don't have the ability to do that, we in trouble. We got people that are fat looking in the mirror saying I'm different and shit like that. No, you're fat. You don't say you're fat. You don't start to do the things you need to do to lose weight. You don't realize that your child is 10 and they can't fucking read. Then they have a problem. They got to go back to basics. Your child is going to be a big dummy at 18. A big dummy. And the people who suffer with that the most are pretty little girls. Pretty little girls. And this is how they get right onto the strip pole. It starts right there. Mommy and daddy, we put them on a strip pole. Because soon as you got a pretty little girl, see, that's why girls that don't look so pretty, they don't have that issue. They learn somewhere like around 3 or 4, they got to start working for things in life or they won't get them. See, pretty little girls is, oh, you so cute, here. Oh, you so cute, here. Oh, you so cute, here. They get in school, they don't know a damn thing. They just sit down quietly and look at the teacher. Good behavior, 80 on the grade. 80 on the grade. So cute is getting them everywhere. Then they start to meet people, time to get boys and girls. Guess what? Boys are now trying to compete with one another for the girls' attention with things. So, oh, you so cute? Here, we back to that again. You so cute? Here. You so cute? Here. And when that's not enough, they got to find a new place to do you so cute here. So now they put themselves in abusive situations where they can still get the you so cute here shit going on. And they pass through school that way. So I see little girls that, and some of them can read, but they don't know how to write. I had a beautiful little girl in our class. She could read her butt off. And then I had to have a meeting with the parents and say, okay, guys, let me tell you guys something, okay? There's a difference between learning how to read and memorizing words. So some of these children have memorized enough words to be impressive, but they can't read. See, reading is when I put you in front of a word you never saw before, and you can sound it out and get the meaning, using the context of the words around it. See, if you don't know how to sound the word out, the phonetics, letters, phonetics, then you don't know how to use context to get the meaning, you cannot read. You've just memorized words, right? And that usually happens when we're not spending enough time teaching the children, because we're busy doing whatever else we're doing, right? So all of these are issues that we got to deal with. And then that comes back around full circle to biochemistry. Back to copper, the chalcogens, and tyrosine. Why? Because when you have high levels of glucose in the system, another larger problem is your body's ability to utilize tyrosine, which is the foundation for every pigment and melanin. Tyrosine. High levels of blood glucose stops your body from being able to utilize tyrosine. And now, if you're thinking that that's just a light skin, dark skin issue, it's not. Because the neuromelanin that we need to think requires daily blast of tyrosine and tyrosinase and copper. High levels of glucose, that cannot happen. Translation: Frosty Flakes, Pop-Tarts, sugar snacks.
Rice Krispies.
Do you have the real ones?
Fruity Poop.
Oh my goodness. Come on. Have it. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
No. My children can't wait. They got to have some. Tony, he's here.
Yeah.
They've been talking about you. Tony been talking about you since we was on the trip.
I got
Is Hez gonna be there with the cheesecake?
I told him to set up.
He's gonna be there with the cheesecake. Yes.
You have to explain to them.
Oh, the cheesecake. It's cheesecake made out of raw nuts, seeds, and fruit. It's not like cheesecake. But it's more delicious than some of those other things. But it's super good, very high in protein, antioxidants, enzyme activity, healthy fats that you need, omega-3, 6, 7, 8, 9, all of those things. And so, yeah, so I got to, we getting ready to wrap this shit up now. Oh, it's 5:11, good. 2 hours up. So, cheesecake.
Look like we made it. Look like we made it.
Oh, good. No, serious. Any last questions though? Last questions.
Question. Okay, you said something about the fast starting in 2017. Are you going to have like a?
Oh, wait, hold on. Cheesecakes are still dessert. Focus. So, meal is in the back. Dessert is in the front. Go to the front before you go in the back. I mean, go to the back. See, I'm confusing them. The crackhead in me is like, get the sugar. If y'all don't know, you are addicted. Sugar's a drug.
Yeah.
Right? So,
and you said 2017 you're going to be having like a...
January 1st, we're starting a 40-day mucus membrane fast. We've been doing a 40-day fruit fast for years now. We got a bunch of people who do it all over the world. But this one we wanted to commemorate Dr. Sebi's legacy. A lot of people know, how he passed and what happened to his company after he passed and stuff like that. So we're like, okay, we're going to keep the legacy intact. So we started the tour. And then with the tour, we started noticing that people was into the info, but there was still the application piece that was missing. So we're giving people now the opportunity to get prepared. You can go to the website, 40dayfruitfast.com, and you'll see the article there, how to do the 40-day mucus membrane fast. I got videos on YouTube. You can type in how to do the 40-day mucus membrane fast, and it'll have step-by-step meal plan, herb plan, when you take this, what you take, blah, blah, blah. Some of the herbs will definitely be here, Black and Nobel, so you can come get some stuff as y'all get more familiar with the fast or now. Questions? All right. Don't try to ask me no one-on-one questions. After I move from here, I'm disappearing into the back and then the front.
What's the new products over there on the table?
All right, so you got the hair product, the Heru product, Hair Villi. People might be familiar with the Hair Villi. I changed the Hair Villi up a little bit. You got the pink lips for the lungs, rehydrate the mucous membrane. You got a couple of chemiluminescence, which one of the things I did, I'm like always trying to streamline this process. So I used to have a bunch of products, but as I learned more, I change and tweak what I'm doing. So I had the Candida cleanse, that was working good. I had the fat burner, that was working good. And I had some different things like blood cleansers, and I had some stuff for diabetes and blood sugar and all that kind of stuff. As I got a deeper understanding of the body, I realized that there's a reason why, although they have fat burners out there that you could buy like Walmart, stuff like that, that work short term, they never work long term because they don't address all the systems that function in terms of fat. So you can't really ever regulate your fat without regulating blood sugar. You can't regulate blood sugar without regulating tyrosine glucose balance, without regulating hormone balance, without regulating how aggressive your metabolism is, how much energy is consumed, energy produced, and how much waste is excreted, which is another thing that Sebi talked about in terms of intracellular chelation, right? But sometimes the big words confuse niggas, so you have to say cells defecating or taking shit, right? Your cells need to use the bathroom. They need to urinate, defecate, right? So all of those things I was able to take off a few months and put them together and come up with one formula that does all of those things. I just had to eliminate, like sometimes when you're making herbal formulas, you're gonna have herbs that neutralize each other and it gets a little crazy, so you kind of got to go through and make sure you got all of the actions happening that you want to happen. But so chemiluminescence is that, regulates the body, parasites, viruses, hormone balance, finally something to deal with white blood cell activity, so it does that. Then I'm almost certain that we had more Lulu and Melu and more watermelon packed.
But when I got off the bus, I only had one of each left, right? But watermelon is legal. One of the main system deals with regulating internal inflammation, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it's good to have a legal source that we can get that from, because endocannabinoids are produced from a variety of natural things. I also have black watermelon seeds in here because there's a specific relationship to the acid compounds in black watermelon seed and pinealocytes. Those are the actual cells in the pineal gland that convert photons into electrons or ionic impulses that the body could then use for information. So that's in the watermelon. And then the Lulu Amelu is an enzyme therapy supplement from a bunch of different fruits with high enzyme activity, and they are frozen, freeze-dried, so that you maintain the enzyme activity. Because I used to always put up, you know, papaya, mangoes, and things like that for people to get the natural enzyme activity, you know, or you could just eat from Sister's IKEA, and people still be lost. But you don't gotta. Now I gotta, right? So pregnant women is good. The Lulu Amelu is good for them. But pregnant women know the chemiluminescence is not good for you. It might be too strong for your body system. So Lulu Amelu is good for everybody. Mama Tonics, along with some bottles missing, labels went missing. So it would taste a little bit different. I added some new ingredients to it, like wild lettuce. A lot of people don't know how powerful wild lettuce is. It's got about 20 different vegetables in it, but wild lettuce being one, the hardest one to find. The only thing that's documented that the gods Heru and Set ate is wild lettuce. Every year they did a festival to the fertility deity Min, wild lettuce. When the Romans came in and started to steal everything, they stole the wild lettuce, cloned the wild lettuce, and started their own version of wild lettuce for their fertility, and it extended their lifespans almost 20 years, which became known as romaine lettuce. Wild lettuce is the parent of that because of how powerful it is for the body's fertility systems, male and female. That's why it's still real green, unlike iceberg and some of these other crazy stuff. And then it looks different, the way it grows out the ground, straight. You see? So it's a whole different animal. So you got those, but like I said, I only have one watermelon in, one Lulu Amelu. I got 3 chemiluminescents. The Heru formula, the pink lips, I got plenty of. Mama Thomas, I got plenty of, with no labels. So whatever y'all don't get, Hak will have, and then I'll send labels and send more products, and we'll get it in. I'll probably, I'm gonna try to come back once every month for a weekend, so we could do this, and then have like another day where we actually get it in, do some exercise, consultations, one-on-one stuff, you know, all of that kind of stuff. But application got to be big, and then, of course, the application part with the physical. Prince has never left here. He lives here, almost walking distance, and he's always looking for people to come work out. So I get people from Philly that be like, "Yo, can't be kidding. Click. I mean, you can't be serious. Click. Hang up. We built this thing right here." So anytime you hear me talk about vegan mafia, this is the co-founder right here. This was the left arm or the right arm. I might have been his right-hand man that he brought into the fold. Like this is where it started. So people got to realize he never left. He's still here. Maul's still uptown cutting hair. He'll dip it out on the low real quick.
He's there all the time.
Right here with Hak. You know what I'm saying? Still holding the fort down. So some things change, but most things remain the same. You know, the foundation, ground zero, is right here in Black and Nobel. And if y'all keep in touch with Hak, I'm here. I'm somewhere in the shadows. I'm not far. So I'm trying to be back at least once a month or once every other month, so that way we can have this gathering and keep this initiative going and try to keep it free. So the only way we're going to keep it free is if y'all support with the products, the books, and all that other stuff. So then we don't have to say, all right, $10 for you walk in, $20 for you walk in. We don't want to wrestle the money out you. We want you to see the value and then give it to us, and then we just do the right thing with it. So that's what you got to do. You got to trust your people first.
Right.
Give them the money. Then if they don't do the right thing with it, then you stop giving them your money. Right? Well, that's how we got to do it. And then think of business in that kind of way. Let's close on that. Think of business in that kind of way. Do I want to give this money to you to do what with? So Dr. Bronner Soap, do I want to give you my money, Dr. Bronners, so that you can make sure that the legacy of Albert Pike and Margaret Sanger survive? Do I want to do that? You know what I'm saying? So with that, we out. Food in the back, cheesecake in the front.
It's the best tool to build. Could it be drugs? Could it be thugs or brotherly love? These babies gotta eat, so it really don't bother me. As long as we escape poverty, bracing for the worst, on the quest for the best. When other niggas quit, I pledge my flesh to my last breath. And I ain't never stop, I never turn back. The evil that men do can never turn black in the slums. With bums that take your life for crumbs. G stood plumb on they square and made men out of sons. Fiending to live, we scratch that itch while you were scared to take a risk. We smack that bitch.
We're angels, some might